Detect magic.
All right, and welcome everyone to the much anticipated, not too long overdue session 2 of our Kingmaker adventure path. Joining me today are several pretty cool people. I don't really know what else to say. They're pretty awesome. I like playing games with them. Session 1 was a hell of a lot of fun, and we're going to dive right into the story. So when we last left off, our intrepid adventurers, you all had left the city of Restov and began your journey west towards Oleg's trading post, which is the sort of last bastion of civilization right before you hit the green belt, a sort of middle section of the Stolen Lands region. During that journey, you had run into a group of the Stag Lord's bandits, these sort of grizzled, nasty looking men and women who had had this strange three-circled ring tattoo on the napes of their neck. Some of them have burned away, and their leader seemed to have some sort of fire magic, maybe a little bit of necromancy, as he turned into this burning skeleton upon his initial defeat. It was like a double boss from a video game. It's like you beat the boss, but what about second boss? So you guys defeated him pretty single-handedly, I would say. It was close for a second. Did go down. Ingram took an arrow to the gut. You know, he took 6 HP, so he's basically dead because he's a first-level wizard at that point. And Theragor just held the line. Samia was right in the thick of it, just playing both of her characters because I'm letting her cheat. You know, it is what it is. Horse and... I know it's part of your class, all right? I'm just giving you shit. All right, I'm just giving you shit. However, you have defeated them relatively quickly, and were able to recover from your wounds and press on, continuing onward towards Oleg's trading post. As you arrived at the trading post, the smell of this rich stew really just wafted out from the entrance. The first thing you noticed about the fort itself is it looked to be in a state of somewhat disrepair. The walls were a little saggy, a little bit dirty. The snow had piled up around the perimeter of this little fortress area, this little old fort, as it were. There were 4 on each of the 4 towers, notating the 4 different corners of the structure. There were these catapults that looked like they had seen significantly better days. But despite the fact that the fort itself seemed a little lackluster, a little disrepair, one of the doors of the gate was hanging barely on its hinges, the other one was actually on the ground. There was a sound of laughter and joy coming from inside. And Theragor, you heard the voice of your old friend, the cleric of Erastil, Jhod. And he was calling out, "Once my friend Theragor gets here, you'll see a true man, a man that definitely deserves your respect. He is, however, a dwarf, not an actual man. Just in case there's any discrepancy, he's very particular about that sort of thing. So, speak of the devil." And you had said, Theragor, last session, if I don't remember, you had said, like, "Fear not, Theragor is here." It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
That is where we end. So we pick up with the 5 of you. We've got the 4 of you players, and then your ally Eric walking into this trading post, right? This old trading post that had been built into this fort. The state of the trading post, there's a thin layer of snow inside. However, the warmth of this massive fire in between these 2 long benches, with the long benches and the long tables there, seems to really be emanating out. And with the walls, that warmth is being held in, so the snow isn't really sticking. If you recall, there is this swirling sort of almost vortex-like cloud system over the center that spans out from the center of the greenbelt. As you look south from your direction, which would be down on the battle map, you can see almost this hurricane-like swirling gray storm cloud. It never quite leaves the border of the Stolen Lands. It just slowly pivots around this central section deeper to the south. That snowfall, it's ever falling. There's this constant, steady downfall of snow, but it never seems to accumulate more than 3 to 4 inches at most. You might see sections of 6 inches. It's as if it's falling and then maybe melts a little bit and goes back up, and that temperature is hovering ever so just around and just below freezing. So it's called right around 30 degrees. So it's cold, there's a bitterness in the air, but a little bit of cover, a nice fur cloak, and you can last it. That warmth, though, of this fire really just, it fills your hearts, it fills your lungs, and that smell, this thick, rich, very well spiced. You can smell a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of like almost like an Italian kind of seasoning, and it wafts in, and you realize, all of you realize in this moment, you've been sustaining for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks during your journey, on nothing but trail rations. And this is probably the first good meal you're gonna have. Jhod stands up, arms wide, and basically rushes Thorogir. Thorogor. I've already screwed up a name. You were right, Mimi. I've already screwed up a name. There it is. But he rushes over, opens his arms wide, leans in, and just gives you this huge bear hug, patting you on the back.
Thorogor is kind of, stiff for a moment, because this is not his way. But he'll, his hands will come up and he'll pat it a little bit. Yes, it's very good to see you too, Joe.
My friend, it has been how many years? Nearly 5, close to a decade since we fought those. What was it? A bugbear and some actual bears. I just remember a lot of bears in that wooded area. I'm having a hard time exactly being old for a human, as it were, as it is. But I see you've brought friends, companions with you. Your missive mentioned you had formed some sort of adventuring group or a companions, and you have a letter from the Lord or Sword Lord of Restov. Am I understanding this correctly?
Indeed we do. Allow me to introduce you to my companions. This is Samia. Do you have...
So, go ahead.
When I say Samia of the river, how do you think I would describe you? Were you Samia of the River Kingdoms? Is that where you're from?
How would you describe her?
Would that be acceptable to say that, or is that like a disreputable area?
No, Samia. Well, it's disreputable, but Samia will take it.
Oh, this is Samia of the River Kingdoms.
Ah, Samia. A very interesting, unique name, dare I say. Also, of the River Kingdom, so you're familiar with the area. Of course, a little bit further south.
Further south, yes.
And what brings you up and around over the meadow and through the woods, as it were, to here? I'm relatively intrigued, dare I say, and a knight of some sort. I didn't realize the River Kingdoms had knights.
No, Denard and I met after I left home, but I have a love of travel, so here I am traveling.
Well, if what I understand in Thorogor's message, the amount of travel you'll be doing will be, well, in the hundreds of miles. There is a great many square miles to explore in this region, and you mentioned in your letter to me, Thorogor, that you've been given an opportunity to perhaps claim this region as your own?
Indeed we have, but I have not introduced my other two companions.
Ah, yes, of course. Please,
this is Dinok Durand.
No need to be fancy, friend. It's good to meet you.
He extends his hand, taking Dinok's... It's a firm handshake, but very kind. His hands are very calloused, likely from working, with those hands. He looks like the type of man he likes to get his hands dirty, in a good way. He's not the type of guy to, be like, okay, you over there, go do the job. He'll do it himself, right? And whether that's because he doesn't think they can do a good job themselves, or simply because he enjoys the work, remains to be seen. Dinok, that is as well an interesting name. Dinok, is that Brevoyan, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, I'm out of Greyhaven up to northwest. To be honest, the way the country is, it's hard to say really who owns what nowadays. But I'm as much a part of the landscape as any other.
I see. Mysterious, a little bit. I like it. You and I will talk. I like a little mystery in my life. There's another one, or two. Please, continue, Thorogor. Please, continue.
And may I present to you Ingram Felder.
Looks Ingram up and down. Leans in a little bit. You're touched by the divine, aren't you?
Yes, somewhere along my family lineage. How do you do?
Someone bet an angel. Intriguing. Very intriguing.
Maybe.
Quite. Yes. And you're a cleric of some sort? A divine speaker? I mean, most of your kind tend towards the divine.
I dabble in both, most of the arcane, but I can do some magical healing, as it were.
He asks you in Celestial, whom do you send your prayers to?
Eh, I send them wherever they need to go.
He tilts
In
his,
Celestial.
yeah, he tilts his head to the side, and still in Celestial, he responds again. There's a god that I think you might find interesting. A stag god of sorts. Erastus. We'll talk later about it. And he looks over to Theragor and winks, and he's like, a cleric's job is never done. Constantly be converting. Constantly be converting. You'd know, old chap. You would know. You would know. And who's this
Ah,
this scared-looking lad at the back there with a lute?
this is our brave bard, Eric
Uh,
Jishang.
I'm not sure I'm exactly very brave, but I appreciate the words and vote of confidence. A pleasure to meet you, sir, and a mighty
He was
fine
very-
pleasure to meet you. Please.
He was very brave indeed in our recent fight with the Stag Lord's men upon the road.
You fought the Staglord's men already. Well, it sounds like you have a tale to tell. Come, let me introduce you to the proprietors of this establishment. This is Oleg and his lovely wife, Svetlana. Oleg is a tall man, about 6 feet, long, sort of dirtyish blonde hair, comes down to his shoulders, and he has a long pipe that he's smoking, and it smells very, very intensely of this sweet vanilla tobacco. And he draws in, nods. Hello, hello all. Good to have
Grindor.
some forces here.
Oh no. I guess we do. Theragor is looking at him up and down with some skepticism and suspicion, because he's wondering what kind of man lets his outpost get in this state of disrepair.
He draws in another long draw on his pipe, blows smoke. His face kind of disappears, adding to that maybe suspicion that you have, like he's almost trying to hide it. And as the smoke clears, he looks directly at you and he sizes you up some as well. Not aggressive, just I see you seeing me and now you see me seeing you.
Right,
Sort of style.
yes.
Give me a quick sense motive. First roll of session 2.
Sense motive. Coming right up. Let's see.
Oregano. Yes.
Oh.
Oregano. Yeah, oregano.
It's not abilities that's under, it's skills that's correct.
And remember at the top you have those buttons you can click. You can click adventure.
Right.
And you can just click it right
there
off
we
of
go.
there.
Adventure, sense motive.
24. All right.
Ooh, I can see right through it.
You can tell this man has likely lived a life of adventure at some point. There is a broadness to his shoulders. His hands have those kind of telltale signs of cut and scrapes. He has a hardened look to him, where your appraising look, maybe almost bordering on a perhaps intimidating kind of look, does not faze him in the slightest. He's a confident man, if not looking a little tired. Like he's older, his adventuring days are likely long behind him. However, he could still probably hold his own if it was to come push to shove. His wife looks at him, looks at you, and Svetlana steps forward, placing herself between the pair of you. She looks to be maybe a decade, maybe even 15 years younger than her husband. She is got long, almost kind of reddish brown hair. She's dressed in... She doesn't look dressed warmly enough. It's sort of a just like a dress, which she's got a little shawl over it. It's long and flowing. It covers her ankles. No, the Amish wouldn't be offended by it. And she just has a very warm, welcoming, almost motherly-like smile. And she smiles over to Theragor, placing herself in between you and her husband. And she says, I'm sure that your journey has been, well, arduous, to say the least. And to hear that you engage with the Stag Lord's men, they have been, well, more than a thorn in our side. They have been extorting us, both of supplies as well as gold. And we are nearly at our wits' end. We had sent word to the Sword Lords of Restov, and your arrival could not come at a more opportune time. However, at this moment, please bring your things, your supplies in. Allow us to feed you and hear your tale of battle and heroic valentry. Come, please, everyone, inside, quickly. and she's going to like turn and place a hand on Oleg's chest, sort of pushing him back gently. And Oleg just kind of watches as he takes 2 steps
Right,
backwards, just watching Theragor. Like, I see you.
Uh,
I see over there judging me. Let's see you upkeep a fort.
After hearing about that, they've been under, you know, duress from the Stag Lord. His opinion changes, and he nods to to Oleg.
And Oleg just gives him a look. Just gives him a look. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I see you over there. You stupid.
You go ahead, I'll catch up. And I kind of turn to the cart to kind of unhitch the horse and more like lead it towards the stables, go back, offer to help
In the
with
cart.
with Samia's horse as well, and get things kind of like settled before I go in for dinner or whatever.
As you are just outside, Denok, of the fort, and you are beginning to start to unhitch the horse, get the cart ready, sort of pull it in right to where you actually see that cart inside of the fortress, I'm going to have you give me a perception check, please. I want to see if you notice something.
Okay.
Solid 14. So as you are beginning to unhitch the horse, you're just outside. Again, there is this snowfall, and you can see the snow started to build up. And as snow accumulates on the side of a building, it starts to sort of creep up, almost like it's like gripping and then climbing up the side of the wall. As you are looking at the wall, you see these little scrape marks along the edge, just to the left of the doorway. So just to the left of the doorway, right about this location right here. You see these little scrape marks in the wood. And as you squint down, you see it almost looks like the top part of a little, like, 2-ringed circle. It reminds you of that same symbol you saw on the back of those bandits' neck. You can't see the full symbol. It's partially covered by the snow. You can just barely make it out. As you look at that, you just get this sort of that feeling when your adrenaline's really high, and the example I always give is you're walking through the woods at night, and it's just you're very on edge, and all your hair stands up. You just feel like you're being watched. That kind of creepy feeling, if you've ever experienced that, it's that kind of feeling. Something instinctually tells you to look over your shoulder, and with that 14, you are 90. I'd say 50-50 actually. You're 50% sure you see a figure. The snow is falling. It creates this haze, so you can't really see more than 100 feet or so from the entrance to Oleg's trading post. Beyond that, it's too foggy. It's too hazy with this constant snowfall, right? But as you look into the distance, you squint, you could swear you saw a robed figure in yellow. A robed figure in yellow staring at the fortress. You blink, that robed figure is gone. Could have been the snow kind of messing with your vision. Could be the fact that you're a little tired. You still have that concussion, maybe. We're not sure. It's hard to tell. But you do know as you look back that those 2 rings of the top part of what might be that circle symbol, you definitely see that.
First voices, now visions. I kind of pull my cloak around me closer and walk in. But, like, occasionally give glances over the shoulder, like, oh, gosh, what's going on?
Do I see him looking back?
I will leave that up to Denok. If he wants to be noticed, then you may have that happen. However, if you were off to the side, behind the cart, I leave that up to you.
I think that I probably stare behind me for long enough that if someone's turning around, they're probably not going to find it difficult to see me.
Perfect. So you would have noticed it, Ingram.
All right. I would notice this, and then you're Danak, you're unloading the cart, right?
Yeah, I'm leading Bertrand towards the
Right. Your horse towards the
yeah,
stable.
my horse towards the stable.
I'll catch you there and say, did you see something?
Hard to tell. Mind plays tricks when you're this tired.
Right.
If you see anyone in yellow.
Yellow. All right. And he nods and walks off.
That's mysterious and vague.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
All right.
Svetlana's wearing a little yellow. She's got like a little bit of yellow, like on her blouse or something. So I don't know. No, that's interesting. So as you guys sit down, as everyone sits down after stowing the horses, getting things, you put the horse in the workroom. I like that. It's a great idea. It's strong. It's strong. I'm gonna go
Trying
ahead
to
and
figure
let
out
delete
which
this.
one is a stall.
It's a
Thanks.
stall right here. I
You
got
had
one right
horses
there.
in all of them.
No, I
I
didn't.
mean, it takes
No,
a
no,
strangely
it's a
long
warhorse.
time.
I do
It's
now.
got like the big
Calm
like
down.
wool blanket for it.
The horse appreciatively nuzzles Denok's face and goes whinny. Yes, it's my horse impression for you. It's very strong. As you sit down, Svetlana serves several bowls of this delicious hearty stew. The meat in it is likely some sort of elk or a venison of some sort. It's very tender. It's perfectly cooked, melts in your mouth, sort of thing. And there is a warmth to this that you have been missing. That chill, even though it's not below zero, there is a bitterness that after days and days and days on the road, only making a small fire now and again, struggling to find dry wood that you can use to make said fire. This is refreshing. For the next 24 hours, you will all be under the effect of a good hope spell. Good hope. Good hope. And if you don't know what good hope does for you, I will go ahead and let you guys know. So good hope gives you a +2 morale bonus on saving throws, attack rolls, ability checks, skill checks, and weapon damage rolls. This will last for 24 hours after imbibing this delicious, delicious stew. Now, what you choose to do with it, be it traveling into the Greenbelt or just working on the fort, as it were, that is entirely up to you guys. Svetlana and Oleg, along with Jhod, who has been at the fort at this Oleg's trading post for a better part of 2 months at this point, I would say, they tell you a little bit about the region that you find yourselves in. So, Oleg is speaking, and he says, the Stag Lord, he was like any other run-of-the-mill bandit for close to a year. But about 6 months ago, he started to solidify his claim. His attacks became more organized, more vicious, more aggressive. And his troops, his might even cauldron army at this point, it grew to where it was more than simple nuisance, a simple your average bandits who find their home here and eventually are consumed by the lands. Most of his type that come to the Stolen Lands, that come to the Greenbelt region, the region fights back against them. It was about 3... Was it 3? Darling, it was 4 months ago that the storm came. 4 months ago, this unseasonable blizzard, this constant snowfall began. And it was two months prior, darling, 2 months prior to that the Stag Lord truly began to tighten his grip on the region. His monthly visits to the fort here became bi-weekly. And a few months later they became weekly, and now they are coming every several days asking for more and more and more, and to be honest, completely truthful, I have nothing left to give. I have just enough to see Svetlana, myself, and the 5 of you here through weeks at most. And if they take what they took last time, we won't have enough for a couple of days. I'll have to give up the fort and, well, head back to Restov or somewhere else. Svetlana interjects, darling, we're not going to give up the fort. We're not going to give up this trading post. You have put your back into it. Everything you accomplished before this? No, we are not giving it up, and that's why they are here. That is why these heroes have come to reinforce us, to fight back against the banditry of the Stag Lord. Oleg puts his hands up. Yes, darling, yes, that is our hope. But there's something more to the Stag Lord. There was a savagery to his men that I did not see before. They are becoming more animalistic in their attacks. It seems as though, like a hive of bees, they've been poked and prodded. Or like an animal that's been whipped, a dog abused, and it now lashes out. Something or someone is doing all of this, and I don't believe it's the Stag Lord. There are other forces at play. What they are, I do not know, but I am grateful you're here. The region itself is mostly unexplored. There are rumors, as likely Jhod has told you, Thurgoor, that there's an old temple of Erastus. There's also a great tree, an old willow. It's nearly 200 feet tall, that's my estimate. They say that there might be tunnels or caves underneath that. But the land itself has been mostly abandoned for 100 years, I believe. The last kingdom that attempted to start a foothold here was, well, it crumbled like all the others before it. Most of what we know of this region is rumor and hearsay, old wives' tales. I will say this, though, if you are unable to stop these attacks, to push them back, as I said, there is only so much more time that my wife and I can stay here.
When do you expect these men back again?
Svetlana interjects. It's been roughly 3 days since their last visit. Should be here any time. Likely within a day or so. They've been coming roughly twice a week, every 3 or so days. And well, they're a bit overdue at this point.
You were asking Ingram?
Well, I was going to ask the DM.
Oh.
So, what would I know that the veil between planes around here is thin.
If I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you made a check last session, or I may have just given you this information. The veil between the first world and the material plane is thin in the Stolen Lands. It is said that there are portals, pockets. Normally to get to the first world is an endeavor. Like, you can't just planar travel there, at least in the way that I run the setting. You have to find a passageway of some sort to get there. And there are areas that exist within Galorian, that the inner sea region where most of the adventures take place, that there is a thinness there. There is literally like a shimmering pool of water that looks into this like technicolored world that is the first world. So there are multiple locations, if you can believe the old tales and the stories, that exist within the Stolen Lands here, within the Green Belt and the other regions that are next to it, where there are those thin veils where you can jump through back and forth, etc. And that's why there's likely a lot of fey creatures in this area as well.
With Oleg saying everything that he said about the Stag Lord and how he's become animalistic and like savage over the past few years he's been here, can I make a check, like maybe, I don't know, knowledge, arcana, or planes that would maybe give me information about that I would know about maybe something that would have incited the Stag Lord to be this way, or like empowered him?
You can definitely make a check. I will preface this by saying you don't have a lot of data yet.
Yes.
You haven't really interviewed any of the bandits. You don't know anything other than the symbol that you saw, which you know that symbol is perhaps tied to the Fae. The Fae like to do a lot of things in 3 circles, rings, fairy circles, and things of that nature. So it might track. However, unless you have more data, like proof, evidence, etc., you're kind of grasping at straws, is what I would say. So I would definitely allow a check, and I might help you say, like, here's a direction you could explore. It could lead to something it may not. So I'm going to encourage you to make the check. I would say
just
make
like the
knowledge arcana, which would lead you down more of an arcane trail. If you do a knowledge nature, which you're allowed to do both, of course, it would lead you more down a nature or sort of like first worldy kind of path. So you can look at both options and see what might pop into your mind.
with the information I have about the first world here, I think that's more where I want to go.
I love that.
Yeah, that's all I really was looking for. It's just like a little bit of tidbit. Maybe I could look up in a library or something once we gain access to like a city, maybe. Or the next
Good
time
luck
we're
with
like in
that.
something like that. Yeah, I know, right?
Give us a few years of in-game time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get there. So that's a pretty good
22.
check. That's a pretty good check. So you would know that there are fey creatures that can drive men to madness, to acts of savagery. There are so many different fey creatures that it could be any number of them. Some of them are very, very scary. Some of them are minor nuisances. That check of 22, you believe, based on your intelligence and your very analytical mind, there's something even more. It's likely tied to the Fae in the first world, just it makes logical sense. However, the swirling storm, the symbols being carved, that doesn't speak necessarily to Fae to you. That almost speaks to like some sort of human or mortal interaction that is using the Fae to do this. That's kind of where your mind goes. Now, whether or not that's actually the case, you need more data, you need more information to make any sort of solid conclusions, but this is based on your check where your mind would go. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Perfect. Very good. You have a look on your face, Ingram. I'm sorry to not, please.
I can
You
wait.
can, you can go ahead. I
No,
took a
Jhod-
minute.
Well, I
You
was
had
gonna
a
wait until there was a time for a better question, but
Yeah,
I
please
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to ask, what what sort of a man is this stag lord? Because I didn't see much of it, but I know at least one of the bodies I helped buried was like looked like a burnt skeleton. Um, is that
Oleg
normal around here?
looks disturbed. Svetlana's face sort of drains of color. You're saying one of his men was undead?
I don't know. I missed that bit of action. I'll be honest.
He certainly appeared that way, although at first glance he looked like a regular man.
He
Jhod,
possessed the ability to utilize his fallen comrades to bolster himself, and then at the end, he transformed. I don't know if it was a gift or a spell that he cast. I wasn't quick enough to analyze the magics, but it was pretty natural.
Jhod stands up at the mention of undead and this skeleton burning and begins to pace back and forth. Theragor, you would know that this pacing is when he's a little upset. He's disturbed by what's been said, right? So he begins pacing, one hand behind his back, one hand on his chin, rubbing his sort of mustache. He's like doing that like mustache twirly thing, which he does when he's deep in thought and maybe a little anxious, as it were. You're saying that the Stag Lord has access to necromancy at this point. That is an escalation I was not expecting. I've seen his men, the savagery, the cruelty, this hunger that seems to not be sated, but necromancy? We have not seen that before. And it was the skeleton was on flame, on fire?
Yes.
Indeed.
He leans, he rocks on his heels, he looks up, hands on his chest folded, and says, well, shit. That's not good. That is not good at all.
Yes.
What I
Like
know
those
of the
back
Stag
across the
Lord,
table.
and please correct me if I'm wrong, Oleg. Oleg says, please continue, Jhod. The Stag Lord is not a mage by any sort of training, and most of his, I suppose I could use the term, minions, or his troops. I don't wish to give
Army.
him such legitimacy as troops. His minions. It sounds, I guess, more derogatory, and I don't like the man. He's a real stick in the mud. An asshole, as it were. However, if he has access to necromancy, it means that he's either recruited a mage of some sort, which is in itself a disturbing development, or he's found something that's giving him an opportunity to do this. These symbols that you mentioned, these circles, these rings, this might sound a little disgusting, but you don't happen to have a piece of it, or at least a drawing of it, so I might see it?
I can display this sigil if you wish.
Be perhaps beneficial. I might be able to discern something.
He'll put his hands together and kind of like make an area of magic and use prestidigitation to make a image of the sigil.
Looks at it, rubbing his mustache again, sort of twirling it slightly. The 3 rings, that speaks to me of Fey magic. Circles, the number 3. The dot in the center is odd. This is precisely what it looked like. I've seen glimpses of it when the bandits have arrived to do their extortion, but I've never seen it this close or clearly. Did it glow? Did it emanate
It did.
energy, heat, or it glowed? I would need to look at one of these close up. Perhaps I might be able to divine something of its nature, but this is not the Stag Lord's work directly. I would think there's something else working with him. However, it would be surprising to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, Jhod, but most of the Fae in this region have been friendly, at least, have they not? Jhod nods his head. Yes, there's a couple of fairy dragons, a few, I would call it good-aligned Fae, who have actually come and traded with me from time to time, before all of this winter happened. Most of them I haven't seen in close to 7 months, 6 months or so. Seem to have gone either into hiding or, gods preserve us, hopefully not been killed. One of them was, what was his name? Pervalash, I believe? A delightful little fairy dragon. He's very precocious when it came to berries. Blueberries, or was it strawberries? Strawberries, darling. He liked strawberries. Yes, haven't had any shipments of strawberries in quite some time, but, well, meandering now. Forgive me. Well, at this point, says Jhod, I think all that's left to do is to begin to explore. I obviously would like to find this temple. However, your charter that you were given, it states you are to, seek out the bandits, defeat them, hang them. What's the specifics of your charter?
I'll show you. And he unrolls it and lays it on the table.
Do like a kind
Yeah.
of thing, like, oh, it's
And-
big.
And he looks at his other companions and he says, I think our first order of business should be to take care of those troops that come here to harass this fort.
And as if, on cue, there's some shouting from outside. There is some shouting from outside. And as the camera sort of pivots down, we see a small group of armed men, 6 or so, have approached the fortress and are sort of jeeringly calling out, Oleg! Oleg and that scrumptious wife of yours! We're here for your taxes! Taxes are due! Sorry, clear my throat. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and put
Oleg.
a couple of bandits on the token, but please continue.
Oleg, do you have any barrels?
Oleg points over to the sort of these caged areas where there's some supplies up at the top, and there are indeed some barrels up there.
I suggest, well, at least a few of us get into these barrels. You bring them in and tell them that you have these goods for them. As they begin to carry us, we pop out and we, well, I smash one in the face with my hammer.
Jhod gives you
Okay.
this look of, what is it with you and barrels, Therago? Was it something as a child? Why do you always want to use barrels? That's we could just
barrel
stand against them.
It's a very useful construction.
Is it? I don't know if is it? That is.
There we go.
Yes.
There's just one problem with that. There's no door blocking them from seeing us before we get in the barrels.
I didn't want to say anything, but he is correct.
I didn't want
It
to.
was a good thought, but
Great plan. For the
We shall
future.
put it in the log for implementation in the future.
One point to Thaggle.
That's pretty funny. We'll do the
I
log thing
suppose-
later. Yeah, we'll do the log thing later. That's good.
I suppose I can hit them in the face with my hammer without going into a barrel.
So,
Yeah, I guess
I
kinda
just
like
hope to
get
have,
back.
to have surprised them.
we see that there are half a dozen bandits. There is a hooded man, not dissimilar to the one you saw before, that is leading them, and he seems to be the man in charge. As he steps in through the partially, knocked down doorway, his troops begin to
Be wary of that one.
flank in, and he's laughing and smiling and
I'm-
very arrogant right up to the point until he sees that there's more than just 3 people here. Ingrid.
Can I try and disappear?
Yeah, absolutely. You're around the
Just
corner.
like quickly just duck into here.
Sure. Give me a stealth check.
Sure, that's not gonna go terrible.
We'll see what
My
happens.
+1. It's just
11.
not gonna go terrible.
All right. Well, they're not really paying attention to you, but he stops. The man stops, takes a step forward, and says, "Ah, Oleg. Seems you have some guests. I'm sure you've informed them of the required tax payments for staying at your establishment under the benevolent and watchful eye of our savior, Staglord. What was it? 40%? No, 50%. That's right, 50%. So we'll be taking half of all the gold and other precious minerals you have upon you, and for your tithe, as it were, we won't burn this place to the ground. We're waiting.
Indeed, Oleg has told us. Theragor gets up. He says, "And I shall deliver my payment to you right now." And he started to walk over towards the.
Oh boy, Eric has nervously stood up and backed against this. This is like a workroom right in the center of the fortress here, and he's got his lute and he's playing like a nervous song. He's like,
Right.
"And then we all didn't die, I hope." That
As
was-
Theragor gets up, he kind of gives a look over to Samia. Like,
Nod.
are you coming? And then he looks
Uh,
over.
I would like to.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna get on in this. I got a thing I want to do. I'm pretty sure this building I'm in is thin.
Right.
They're thinly walled.
Mhm.
Okay, so I can hear all what's going on. All right.
Yeah, I've kind of been leaning up against the wall of the house because I didn't want to cram up the benches, and I'll say, "My lady Samia," because I think she's probably like with that armor, you probably look like the most affluent member of the party, and just say, "I'm confused. As the bearer of the charter of the Greenbelt, does that not mean that all legal taxes should be going to you?" And I'll make a bluff here because I'm like, we're
Love it.
not really like entrenched lords and ladies.
I love it.
collecting
I
taxes
love
or
it.
anything like that yet.
I love it. Let me make a quick sense motive on this guy. He believes you. Just barely. Just barely believes
Barely.
you. That's beautiful.
Barely.
Wait,
Love it.
Charter? Charter? What in the hells are you talking about, charter? The only charter here. But you have a charter? What do you mean? Staglord
You
owns
don't.
these lands. What, no, we don't need a charter. We have divine providence. Isn't that the word you use? Yeah, divine
Divine.
providence.
Oh, how does your divine providence want to stand up to my lance? And the Denot comes trotting out at that point because
Ooh.
combat trained means he's got the come trick.
I love that. I love that. And he looks a
Reached
little shocked, a
over,
little
Pulled
surprised.
up the post.
A
walked
couple of the
out.
bandits have drawn blades. Like, they're getting the impression there might be a fight. They're
Right.
kind of outnumbered. Even Oleg slipped inside, stepped out. Svetlana has a light crossbow and he has a heavy crossbow, and they're like crouched behind the bench here, ready to go. Like, oh, I guess we're just gonna fight him. That's pretty cool. Surely nothing bad will happen from here. That'll be wonderful. Now, here's the situation. There's tenseness in the air. It's pretty obvious you guys are being threatening. No one's trying to bluff that they're going to actually give, Sabia's just threatened them. So there is a beat. There is a moment where you guys are all standing to the north. They're all standing just inside the entrance. A couple blades have been drawn, a couple hands are resting on the hilts of weapons, on the handles. And the leader, this man, pulls back his hood. Expression is serious. Then it softens. Perhaps we got off on the wrong foot. I was not aware, candidly speaking, that there was no royalty, that's the word, royalty within these walls. Allow me, your majesty, to properly, is it your majesty or your ladyship?
I'll accept either.
Your ladyship. I was not aware I was speaking with a noble. Allow me to properly introduce myself. My name is Haps. Haps Badon. I am one of the lieutenants of our Stag Lord's army. Now, the Stag Lord, he himself, is also nobility. So, certainly, as a fellow noble, you can understand that there are bills to be paid, roads to be built, troops to be supplied with food and weaponry. That doesn't come cheap. Just as I'm sure in the lands that you call your own, you, well, have the civilianry pay taxes as well as, visitors. Perhaps a visitation tax. Now, from our perspective, these lands that you find yourselves in have been claimed presently by our Lord and Savior, the Stag Lord. Now, it appears you might have a conflicting claim, but in the interest of mutual understanding, we would simply ask for a small portion of gold to be paid, and then we might take your claim to our Lord and see if a solution can be reached that doesn't end in bloodshed and fire. What say you to that, your ladyship?
Counter offer. You go back to your king, your Stag Lord, and you tell him we'll do this good and proper. He and I will meet. Not here, not in his court, but in a third place. And we'll discuss whose charter or divine providence holds greater weight.
Give me either
Oh.
diplomacy or intimidate, whichever you prefer, Samia.
Ooh.
And can I do something that can that might be able to help her?
Yeah,
her roll?
absolutely. We're all in this
He's
together.
going to say, "For be assured, we do have divine providence." And he holds up his hammer of Torag up like this, and he's going to cast Bane,
Oh.
which will fill
Oh.
your enemies with fear
Oh.
and doubt.
Oh, so you're just like, hey, get fucked. And so
It's like-
there is this pulse of like aggressive energy that
Yeah.
billows out. Jhod looks over like, what the fuck are you doing? And just boom, and just bane. And
Yeah.
what is the DC on that for your spell?
Let's see. So it says a 50-foot burst radius centered on you. Oh, let me look up here. Maybe it says.
It's a first level spell. Go to your
Yep.
spells tab. Look under your first level spells DC.
So saving throw will negates.
Will negates. All right, so let's make a quick will save. This guy's got a great will save. 5. He fails. He is baned. That is unfortunate. We
Right.
give a check for the rest of his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5
Yeah.
more.
Oh, and by this point, I'd stepped up a little bit further.
You are all in range. You're in range of them.
Oh yeah.
All right, one of them fails. So in the interest of not adding a crap ton of art, I'm just gonna put a quick little castle on her to show that she has succeeded. So they all look slightly shaken as this pulse of energy just emanates out. It's sort of, it's not even like visual. There's just this boom, like
Right.
electricity in the air, and they all step back ever so slightly. There's a lean back, and the guy in the front seemed to be like he was listening to Samia, And then in a flash, his bow is in his hand, and he's firing an arrow directly at
Oh,
Theron. Let's roll initiative.
does Samia get to roll her intimidation?
She
I rolled a
did.
diplomacy check.
However,
Oh, did her
you
diplomacy?
just
Oh, I
did
thought it was
a
intimidation.
aggressive
Sorry.
action, and they're like, "Kill them all," is what he
Sorry.
says. Kill
This
them.
is my
No,
Greece of the
That's
South.
beautiful. That's a
I'm
beautiful
sure
thing.
we can come to it. Oh.
Oh shit! The dwarf's dwarfing it up. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. All right, let's go and
Yeah.
roll initiative. Let me get the initiative tracker.
So
up.
with me actually being hidden, do I get like a
We're gonna roll
surprise on
initiative
them?
first. Let's just get
Yeah.
initiative rolled. Let's get the
Well,
initiative
it's-
in there real quick.
That was intimidation. Sorry.
No,
It was
no.
diplomacy.
No.
It's good. You guys are still learning how to be a party together. It's a good
You're
thing.
right.
I love it. I
No,
absolutely
it
love
felt. I know it felt like an
Right.
intimidation thing, but it was definitely.
Right.
That's fun. This is fun. We're having fun here.
Mhm.
That's hilariously wonderful.
Sure.
I love it.
Oh, oops! I rolled when I was clicking on
It-
Denard instead of myself.
It's the init button?
Yep. Make sure you have your token selected.
Yeah, I
Oh,
had
that's
the
what it
horse
was.
selected,
I
not
didn't-
me.
Yes, I
Sorry.
did not have it
That's all right.
selected.
I
we go.
can delete the horse,
Selected.
and I can add you to the initiative 11.3.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or you can just keep the horse up and I'll play off the horse's initiative.
We'll do it.
I rolled the right one, I just.
We'll do it right. We'll do it right.
Okay.
All righty then. So he is going to draw quickly and is going to go for the shoestings. We are going to give the surprise round to Ingram, who was hiding, and the rest of you are going to go off of normal initiative. Now you're going to notice something. There is a orange spinning circle. An orange spinning circle. I have added an API script to the game where as your turn comes up, all right, as your turn comes up, it will give you an option to end your turn when you're done. So in the chat log, there is a little button that says EOT. If you click that, it will progress the turn order automatically where I don't have to do it. I only do it for my NPCs, for the enemies and whatnot. So this is going to allow to kind of really let you guys know who's acting, because that orange circle will move to the enemies, and let you
Interesting.
know whose turn it is. And when your turn is done, you click it, and boom, it's going to help keep things rolling forward, and just a little visual representation of whose turn it is. So he, off the rip, Haps, is going to go ahead and make his little shoosty shoost at you with his longbow, his composite longbow. So an arrow comes flying at you right towards your face hole. He rolls a 20. Pretty sure that hits.
That's rolling
that
towards
hits. That is you,
Theragor?
Theragor. That is you.
Yes, of course.
An arrow comes flying at you. As it strikes you, it hits hard for 9 points of damage. Right into your shoulder. It clips your clavicle, and it burns and probably chipped it slightly, and almost it's hits with such a force that you spin slightly and are now sort of at an angle to him. And he's shouting, "Kill them! Kill them all! Burn this fucking place to the ground!" And I'm gonna go ahead and get some battle music going as this kitty runs in front of my face because, well, I'm not paying enough attention to her right now. So let's go
Never.
ahead and get. I need some good combat music. There we go. Combat music.
Combat music.
All right, and then we are going to go down the order. So next surprise round, I would say Ingram. Ingram.
Ingram. There you go.
Get a surprise round. Now, a surprise round in Pathfinder First Edition is a move or a standard action. You can do one
Okay.
or the other. What would you like to do?
Fuck. Okay, so I can't like pop out there and then do a thing. I have to move or do a thing.
Correct.
Okay. I'll use a Arcanist point and I will dimensional slide, which now that I'm at I'm now level 2, I can teleport 20 feet.
That's pretty neat.
Yep. Let me just do that here. Boop. I'm just gonna move, I think 20 feet. How high is the roof here? Is it
10 feet
under
up. The ramparts are
10
10
feet up?
feet up. Mhm.
Okay. What about the roof of this place that I'm on?
The roof of the building is about 10 feet up.
Okay. Is it like A-frame? roof? Like, could I get
Flat
cover?
Roof. It's
Flat roof,
They're getting
okay.
up there
All
and
right.
shovel it from time to time.
Yeah. All right. I will. I don't want to be near everyone else because I want them to waste time coming to me. Hopefully. So I'll just move 20 feet over to here as my move action, using an Arcanist point to just like kind of, and
Over.
that'd
Okay.
be that.
Okay, beautiful.
Yep.
Love it. All right, now we're back to the top of the round. Svetlana nearly growls. There's like a viciousness to her that you haven't seen yet, and she's like, "Die, bandit scum!" And she fires her crossbow. The 12. Unfortunately, that is a hit on this bandit right here, and that is going to be. They have terrible AC, by the way. D8. 5 damage. Not terrible, as that arrow strikes that bandit. Oleg's like, "Good shot, darling." And next up is Theragor.
Theragor will whip out his crossbow. Actually, should I? I'm the only one damaged right now. So, I think maybe I should heal myself. What do you think? I'm half down. What does the rest of the group think?
Oh, you're at half health?
Yeah, with that one hit. Yeah.
What would Theragor do? Would he heal himself? Is he enraged and feeling like battle?
No, you're
charge,
right.
Go forward? I don't know.
Theragor is
I'm
going
asking.
to.
What do we do?
He's going to whip out the crossbow and shoot it at the leader.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Go for it.
Because the leader shot him, correct?
Correct. Tit for
That's
tat.
right.
Tit for tat.
And if you could remind me, the leader is baned, right? And then one other is baned?
There is one that is not baned. The castle
Yeah.
one with the little symbol. of the
Is
castle
the
right here.
only one that's not
That is
baned?
the only one that is not banned. All the other ones.
Oh,
banned.
great. Awesome. Yes, Grindor is Grindor, I keep saying. That's another dwarf I play in a different game.
Immersion ruined. Terrible.
Yes,
Terrible.
sorry. Grindor's his middle name.
Love it. Love it.
All right, attacks. Crossbow light.
14 for 6. Solid blow into Haps. He spins very similar to you did. You hit him effectively in the exact same spot. Then he hit you, and his eyes narrow.
And I would like to move.
You may do so. Actually,
we're
no.
just gonna-
You did a move action to draw your crossbow, and a standard action to shoot, so you're stuck in place. That is your turn.
Okay,
Go ahead and click
no
the
problem.
EOT button for me.
All right.
Beautiful. This bandit here has her blade drawn. I'm going to give her a quick perception check to see if she saw the wizard pop up on the ramparts. Wizard, give me a quick stealth check. I'm going to give you a circumstantial +5 to it. So whatever you roll, you're going to get a +5 to that stealth check. She hear you plop up on the ramparts.
What? Oh, me. Sorry.
Yes, Wizard Ingram.
Yes. Stealth check. Alrighty.
Yeah, stealth
we
check.
we know I suck at these, so
17.
okay, not that bad.
Yeah.
+5. She does not notice you. She is going to charge forward, going directly for Theragor, and is going to attempt to stab him. Now, she does have a minus to her attack. She is charging, though. That is an 8. Whiffs it. Oleg takes his heavy crossbow and fires it directly at her. And he also says, "Die, bandit scum." All right, this is going to be 17 as a hit. Solid
Hey.
blow. 10 plus 2. This is enchanted. Only 4 damage, though, unfortunately. Over that is a nice blow into her. Next bandit down over here is going to charge forward, also attempting to stab Theragor. Die. Nat 1. This is great. 11 is confirmed. Hard yikes. Let me pull up the crit miss cards. Let's see. So she charges forward, melee. Weapon deals non-lethal damage for the next 3 rounds. She sort of loses her grip as the short sword hits your armor, and it kind of slides half out of her hands, and she's struggling to hold on to it. So she is dealing non-lethal damage for the next 3 rounds. Samia. Did it right. I'm getting your name right. This is great.
Yeah, free action ride check to see if I can do a quick mount.
I believe.
That's not high enough. So
I
move
didn't believe
action.
hard enough. I didn't believe hard
Yeah,
enough.
so move action to mount. Yeah, they're out of range. So, just gonna move up with, so double move basically.
Love it. Hapsy Haps is going to fall back 20 feet, get behind his troops, and he is going to attempt to shoot the rider because the rider is scary. 21.
That will actually hit, yeah.
22. Rapid shots right into you. Hard
Yeah.
yanks. 8d8 plus.
Do it.
Now you are not human. You do not
Nope.
count as human, so he doesn't
Nope.
get his bonuses. Would a 19 and a 20 still hit you then?
19 would hit, yes.
Okay, so both would still hit, but he's not getting any bonuses on top of his normal damage. So you are just going to take 7 and 3, a total of 10. Still a nice solid 2 bolts or 2 arrows go into you. And he is looking almost like he's getting ready to maybe retreat or run. There's a sort of a fear in his eyes. That bane seems to really be affecting him. This next bandit here is going to charge the rider. Now you have a reach weapon. You have a
I
reach
do.
weapon, Samia, so you do get an attack of opportunity as she rushes in to attack you.
Okay.
Love it. Love it so much.
Are they still up?
From what? From 10?
20. I'm mounted.
Oh my god. Oh my. Well, no, that's when you charge.
Charge, right, okay. I wrote it
I'm
down
I'm
wrong.
not. I already let you play 2 characters. You don't have to cheat more, right? So
I wrote it down wrong, sorry.
That's fine.
I've never done a cavalier
That's
before.
all right. You're doing a great job. So, what you see is the lance pierces into her stomach. She grimaces, however, still gets a chance to swing on you. Now, she is almost staggered at this point, for a 15 is a miss. That sucks for her. Next up, we have none other than this bandit. Former bandit? No, he's not a bandit. He's just a rogue. Denok, you're up next.
No. I kind of jump up the bench as I go, moving to kind of... I'm technically flanking Theragor, which is not great, but I come in and during my move action, draw forth my long sword, my elven curve blade, and I'm like, okay, that's enough of that, and I will move to attack this gentleman in the middle here.
Oh, nice solid blow
And
for
that
6.
is the wrong button I pressed.
Oh. I'll let you keep
Oh.
the 22.
I thought I
I'll let you
picked-
keep the 22. I'll let you keep the 22. It's a good hit. Just the damage might be more. Hopefully it is.
It's a little bit. Yes, it would be better
12.
damage.
Nice.
That is not too bad. Nice solid
Mhm.
12 damage. As you
Sure,
carve
just
into
don't
that
mind
woman,
me
the
giving me a
blade
second,
cuts
so I don't
down,
check
hitting
something.
her face,
Yeah.
cutting into the
Working.
occipital lobe, and sort of shearing off part of her face. The symbol that you then see on the back of her neck begins to glow brightly, and her whole body begins to vibrate and shake, and then explodes. Almost like a corpse explosion from Diablo 2. Need everyone around her to give me reflex saves. You're looking for a DC 12.
All right.
Ooh, beautiful, 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 Denot, beautiful.
Saves
If you succeed, you
are
take no damage.
in,
It's fire damage, right?
Absolutely. You're probably
Oh,
not gonna take any.
defenses. Of course. There we are.
It's 2.
Reflex
2 fire
save.
damage. You're good. No damage, no damage, no damage. You guys are fine. The friend next to her also has to make it and succeeds. Not too bad, not too bad.
What about the other friend next to her?
She's invincible.
Right.
Can't die. So
Oh.
she's fine.
Oh,
She also
the friend next to her has a -1 to. Oh no, that's fear saving throws. Dang it.
Pretty good. All right, Denok, anything else?
No, that's a move and a standard.
Perfect.
move.
Go ahead and
All good.
click the EOT button right next and underneath your token in the chat window. You have to scroll up a little bit. Beautifully done, sir. Thank you, thank you. All right, this girl here is going to look forward, seeing her friend get cut down, and she screams, "No!" and is going to rush forward to here, but that's a double move. Do you have combat expertise? Or combat reflexes, excuse me, Samia.
Nope.
All right, just the one attack of opportunity. Eric is bardic performancing like his life depends upon it. If you don't have bardic performance active, go ahead and click that on your buffs, as he is singing a song of valiantry and honor and like, hang the bandits because they suck, and I don't like them because they suck. Do die. Just he's nervous. It's not his best work. He'll get better as time goes on. Next up is Ingram. Ingram.
Yeah. Hey. So I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but then that guy moves. So I'm just gonna see how effective a burning hands might be.
The 15-foot cone, baby bird. You're gonna have to get closer.
Cone. Yeah, I know. Is that like a 45 as a degree thing? Is it like 60 or 45?
So funny story. Funny story. I have a token that will assist you in understanding what the range is of that particular spell. All right. So it looks a little bit kind of like this. All right. Gotta do one of these. One of these. Kind of does one of those. All right.
Okay. So I'd be able to hit just the three of them?
If you got to this spot right here, like if you got down to there, you could hit all three of them with that.
All right.
That's
And
nice.
you probably clip Samia. You clip Samia a little bit, but she's also kind of mostly immune to fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, my horse isn't.
Definitely invulnerable.
That's fine. You don't need to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and use a Arcanist point then. I'm burning through these today. Damn. It's alright. I can eat spells later.
Low level wizard doesn't have a lot of utility, but when you
And
higher
I
level,
will
you delete things.
Yep. So I will just kind of like Mario, like jump down from another platform,
Cool,
but like
give me
right
an
into the wood.
acrobatics check.
No, I'm using my dimensional slide.
Give me.
I'm
an
teleporting 20
acrobatic-
feet.
Nope, you're not allowed to do that. You've already used that.
20
for
feet.
today. You can't use it.
20 feet.
Just kidding.
I can do it again.
I know.
I can definitely do it again. And then I'll reappear out of the ground and just like cast a burning hands.
Cool. What's the DC?
15.
Not too shabby. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. One of them is going to fail miserably, which is the one that Samia has already hit. Samia, give me a reflex save for the horse and for you.
Wait, I thought I was. Am I gonna hit her?
You do. You just clip her a little bit. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you're learning your magic still. You're good. You're only taking half to not. And the damage on that is 2d4. Go ahead and roll 2d4 for me, please. And half damage as well. Probably no
Quarter damage or something.
Probably just you do half and then subtract out your resistance.
5, yeah. Too much 5e recently.
4 damage. Boom, boom, boom. So 4 damage here, 2 damage, and 2 damage. It doesn't seem to do that much to these guys that you would have thought or hoped for, but it looked really cool. Like you just like disappeared and reappeared, and then there's just fire everywhere.
Yeah.
Oleg screaming, "Don't burn down my trading post, please!" Just like, what are you doing? Don't burn down my trading post.
Are any of them on fire now?
Nope. That spell does not do that, unfortunately.
It says flammable materials burn if the flames touch them.
Yeah, but not a person.
Okay.
You almost put
Nothing
the
to
cart
carry.
on fire, but luckily the cart's still a little wet, so it's just like smolders slightly. You could
Alright, no
have burned
problem.
the building. You could have burned the buildings down. They don't even have to burn it down. The wizard's going to do it for them. It's beautiful. All right, go ahead and click the end turn on the end turn button in the chat log.
I don't
EOT.
wanna.
Beautiful. All right, this one here says, "Ooh, a wizard. Charge." It's
Fuck.
going to rush towards you and will attempt to stab you in the gut. 23.
Good Lord Almighty.
18 on the
Why do I
die.
even play this game?
I don't know, man. I feel like, you're just better served to be a filler, not like, from the beginning.
Oh,
I don't know,
yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna.
That is
I'll go.
almost a crit, but not quite. She's
You
gonna
are the star.
Stab you in the gut, and you are gonna take a whopping 6 points of damage. Just whoosh right through the stomach. She just grins. Die, wizard. That feels good, probably. Jhod is like, I thought we were talking! What the hell is this? 5 foot to here, he pulls out his longbow. He's gonna shoot at this lady who is firing at, who's trying to stab and kill the wizard. He is gonna fire twice, miss, and a hit.
Fuck him up.
3, 10
Cheap
damage.
sheet.
10 damage. And what's really nice is that this lady did already take some damage, and she drops. Boom, dead. However, she does start to smolder and then burst into flames. Give me a reflex saving room.
Why are you like this?
I'm like this because I hate you.
Oh.
You're good. You
Yeah.
take no damage. You're totally fine. Go
Ha.
ahead and delete her. All right, we are now to the top of round 2, and if you'll notice in the little chat window, it tells us what round we're on. Wow,
Nice.
that's so cool. Immersion. Yay! All right, so Svetlana is going to take a move action to reload, and she's going to fire a bolt at this guy right here. Fortune 11 does go wide. Theragor, you're up next.
All right. Theragor's going to drop his crossbow, whip out his warhammer, and smash this person right here.
Love it. Get weird. Get weird.
All right.
Ah, diggity damn.
It's. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, attacks and
15 for 6. Lady in front of you. Warhammer connects with the shoulder, crushing it. She wavers ever so slightly, but manages to maintain her footing. This bandit here sees an opportunity and is going to attempt a acrobatics check to sort of push past Denok and get around. I'm going to make that acrobatics check now. Denok, what is your CMD, my good friend?
CMD is 15.
All right, so she manages to push past, move around, and is going to use her full move action to get to here. Now, because she was actively trying to avoid you by using acrobatics, she only gets to move at half speed, and so that takes her full round to get to that position. Theragor, what is your CMD?
my CMD is. Opening
Mia,
my
what is your
sheet.
CMD?
And
She is moving
let's
away from your threat squares, Mia, as well.
CMD would be on
Yeah.
the
Defenses tab.
defenses tab. CMB 12.
All right. She gets away from you.
16.
Gets away from you. So she's going to get in that position without provoking from anybody. Oleg is going to say, not today, and is going to take his full round to reload his heavy crossbow. Samia, it is your go.
Yep. I'm going to attack that one there.
Love it. Ooh, 18 for 10. Boom. The
Yeah.
lance goes right through the side of her neck. She stumbles to the side. Because you strike her through the neck, it is a little graphic, but like her neck bulges out, and that symbol, like the flesh kind of pops off and hits the ground. Unlike the other bodies, this one does not explode. It does not explode, but the symbol is like glowing brightly on the floor. It's kind of gross. There's like a little splotch of blood on the ground, and it's nasty. It's a nasty thing, like this. bluish blood.
This one down here was the leader, right?
That was the leader. That is
Yes.
correct. Yep.
I would like to point my lance at them and remind them, this could have been avoided if you agreed to a parley.
He shouts back at Samia, "Agree to a parley? Your man attacked first. You are the aggressors, not us.
Your people fired their bow first.
He filled our hearts with doom. You ought to be blamed. And you call us bandits. To hell with all of you." Speaking of to hell with all of you, he
I
goes to
tried.
raise his bow, thinks about it for a second, and then turns and just full run action south. Just 100 feet into the mist, and is like right on the edge of the mist 100 feet away. Just bolts. Bolts, bolts,
Damn.
bolts, bolts, bolts. He is running. This bandit here is going to 5 foot over her friend and is going to flank Theragor and be like, you did this to yourself. However, she will ineffectually clink off of your armor.
Yes.
Danak, you are up next.
I think Danik will make
Danik,
an acrobatics check to do basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to move to here.
Cool.
That may not be enough, but
That is a 12, so that does still
Yeah.
provoke. So she is going to go ahead and
Fine.
take a swing. Not a big deal. She is rolling at a pretty hefty minus right now. So let me go ahead and click my little bonus. 8 is a miss, swings and misses.
all right. I basically just raised my curved blade to kind of like shoulder level, so he's like facing Theragor, flanking him, but then there's like a blade just like going right past him at eye level. I'm like, stop this. Put your weapons on the ground. You need not die.
Or the Stag Lord, death to the interlopers. They seem like maddened, just like Oleg had warned. Crazy.
I believe the
beast.
term is you brought this on yourself. I think you just said.
Hey! 14 for 6. Solid blow. She is cut down. I'm going to ask you something. High or low? High or low on a D100 roll?
I'm a high kind of guy.
All right, I like that. 6. Your blade cuts into the neck, and it severs, but it doesn't go quite through. That symbol explodes, and is directed directly back at Denik. So I only need
Sure.
you to make a reflex save, and it seems like all of the energy gets like focused up your blade. Oh, perfect. You duck as like a gout of flame shoots out her back. Her head explodes, and she is turned to ash. That was pretty cool. That could have been a lot worse
What's
for
wrong
you.
with these
That could
people?
have been a lot worse. Next up is this bandit who is dead. Next up is Eric, who continues to be like, Bardic performance, we're doing great, please don't die, do 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 do. Ingram, back to you.
There
bleeding
is.
again.
Yeah.
You're bleeding.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
hurts ever so slightly.
My token is not registering the damage that I marked on my sheet, and I tried doing it through the token as well.
It is on my
Oh.
sheet. I don't know what you're talking
It
about.
is?
Yeah, I'm seeing 8 of 14.
Really? On the map?
Yeah.
Oh, might just be me
No,
then.
it's 7.
Now it's 7, but I did
No, it's
see.
8. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not working,
Um,
just refresh roll 20.
I'll do it in a minute.
That's
I don't
no
want
big
to
deal.
get out of everything, get back into it, and take 10 minutes.
You could make
Yesterday I couldn't, or last time. Let me see. Just the one person left, I guess.
One person left,
Mhm. I
and
will
surrounded by
just-
allies.
Yeah, I will just cast Ray of Frost on it.
Love it. Go ahead and roll me a
Um,
ranged touch attack.
Yep.
Your frost hits right above Eric's head, and he looks over at you and just looks really sad. Like, what did I do? I'm trying to inspire you. Why would you do that?
Sorry, missed.
Friend, not foe. Jeez. Wow.
And I will take my move action, or you just my turn. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Get over here behind this cart, and then I will end my own turn.
Eric's going to go ahead and draw his crossbow and get ready to shoot Ingram. Oh no,
Wow.
they've gotten to Ingram. Oh, they've taken him over. It must be infectious. No, I'm just kidding. He's like a zombie. Jhod is going to drop his longbow, step over, and draw like a dagger, and just be flanking with Theragor, and say something cheeky like, just like the bugbears. And then he's going to swing on this lady. Not a good chance, but hey, 19's a hit. That's not bad.
Yeah.
6 max damage too. Look at that.
Mhm.
It's like I've set her up for you, old chap. Take her out.
You still got it.
All right, Svetlana is just gonna stand there with her crossbow aimed at the doorway. Theragor, your go.
Theragor, turns around. This is just like the old days with Jhod. He turns around and just swipes the hammer right across her chin.
Get.
Love it.
Oh, go
Can we
ahead.
try and capture? This is out of character. I meant to say it on my turn, but can we
Say it
try
in
and
character. Say it in
Okay.
character. Be like,
Okay.
capture that one.
capture that one live, please?
Now, whether or not Theragor listens is up to him.
So as he's swinging it, can he turn his hammer to the side to kind
Yeah, he'll take a minus 4 to his attack to do
lethal.
non-lethal,
Yes.
but absolutely.
of -4?
Going to knock out, not knock out.
Right. Let's
Or
see.
knockout.
Attacks.
Good.
So
17 minus 4 is a hit.
13.
That's a hit. She is knocked unconscious and tumbles over, passed out. Jhod looks down and says, just like the bugbears. Well done.
Right.
Well done. Well,
Theragor nods, and then he's going to walk over to Ingram. We're out of combat, right?
Oleg shouts, the leader got away. Smia, can you catch him?
Going to try.
Love it. Give me
Oh yes, well then go ahead.
Horse
Give
charge.
me a survival. Survival to see if you can see his tracks.
Yep.
I give way so I don't get trampled.
Would it
He's bleeding, so look for the blood drops too.
would
Not
it be
good at
feasible?
survival, guys.
Would it be feasible for me to jump on the horse?
You gallop valiantly past Ingram, who tries to touch the horse. However, Theragor was rushing to him and runs into him, trying to heal him. So there's this mix-up of like communication.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Samia, you
It's our
take
specialty.
off. You
Right.
take off. You almost run over Denik. He manages to slip out of the way. You're going full bore. Horse is breathing heavy. The steam from its nostrils. You're like, you think you see the trail of blood, and then you realize, I have no idea where I am, and you look around and you're actually lost for a moment. And you're like, wait, what direction am I in? You're like, I'm in the mist. I have no idea where I'm at. And from somewhere, like, almost sounds like a voice that comes from all around you. A voice from all around you. Give me a perception check. A voice that sounds like there is a feminine quality to it. But it's almost androgynous. It's feminine, it's masculine, it's old, it's young. It's like a chorus of voices all wrapped together. And it says, "Not today, little rider. Not today." Lost the tracks. He's gone. We don't know where he went. Unfortunate. All right, we are officially out of combat. Let me go ahead and stop the cool combat music. And we're going to get back to Woodlands campsite and our winter wood. Sounds of combat end. Let me go ahead and end all of the turns and close the turn tracker. And all right, what did you guys think of the API, the turn tracker? Did you like it? Does it make things more clear for you?
Yeah.
Did you not like it?
Yeah.
I'm looking for feedback.
Loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You like
Yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
I liked that it highlighted the enemies since they're all the same token. It made it easier to
Yeah.
track.
That was one of my thoughts behind it, just, for workflow aspects. Is like, when I'm like, this guy's attacking you, it'll be like, oh, it's the one with the giant spinning orange circle. Cool, I know
Yes.
who's
Oh,
moving
yeah.
and acting.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
makes it easier for me to, like, I don't have to click. I don't have to be like, here, I'm pinging the person who it is. Wait, who's attacking me? Who's getting it? Like, it's very
Right.
obvious. So I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm loving it. So we're gonna continue to use it. So combat ends, and as combat ends, so again, you got this voice, this sort of chorus of voices that seem to be all around you at one point. And with that 15, like you felt like there were eyes on you, like a beast, like some sort of like hunting animal was watching you. That's just very uncomfortable feeling. And then you've heard this voice, like either in your head or all around you. It was hard to say, like, not today, little knight, like not today, not this time. And unfortunately, that man has escaped. Oleg lets out a heavy sigh, places his heavy crossbow on the bench in front of him, draws his pipe, lights it, takes the longest drag of his life. The embers in the pipe, that smell of that vanilla pipe tobacco is just filling in, and he lets out this just plume of smoke from his mouth, his nose. He looks like a dragon for a moment. And he says, "Well, I guess that's done. Next time they come back, it won't be for taxes. It'll be for blood."
So Theragor, you healed me, correct? For 6?
Yes, Theragor steps up to you and says, "Well done," and channels energy.
Anyone that was
we
hurt
both
is
get
healed, including the lady that was unconscious, whom Jhod has taken the courtesy of binding. He's tied her up. He's put some shackles on her, as it were, and he's got her like sat up, leaning against the bench, still on her butt. She is groggy, but awakens and goes to say something, but realizes she's completely surrounded. And he's got her like head pushed down, and he's like looking at the symbol on her neck, and he's like, "Well, this is something interesting. Never quite seen it. Well, this symbol, this 3 circles, does remind me, as I mentioned, of the Fae, but there's a heat coming off it, and a warmth." The woman like turns her head and tries to bite him, and he just like pulls his hand back, and he goes, "Not on the first date. Not on the first date. Calm down. Calm down."
Can I do a full like 3-round check or however many
Detect magic?
with detect magic? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Samia, you can come back. You do get your
Okay.
bearings. Like, you're
Yeah.
not lost. Like, you can
Yeah,
come back.
I didn't
and,
think so.
Yeah, no, that's...
Yeah.
that's
Just smash cut to Samio like
Samia
3
in
months
the middle.
later.
Oh my
like,
God.
Yeah.
She's just
The
like covered
horse
in
is
ice.
dead.
The horse is dead. You're down to 1 character. You're not cheating anymore. It's
Yeah.
great. Perfect. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
it.
God.
So for next like 10 sessions, we need you to just sit there and be quiet. So thank you. Thank you. Just
Yep.
that's perfect. No, it's terrible. So you are both leaning in. Theragor's there. Samia, you've come back. Perhaps a look of frustration on your face for losing that ranger, the archer,
and the horse.
and the horse. This symbol is radiating. Do you remember what it was last time? You remember what it was?
I don't think you said.
Enchantment. I said
Was it enchantment? Okay.
Enchantment. So there's enchantment magic upon it. There's a bit of conjuration, evocation, and a hint of necromancy as well. 4 things. Now that you're really up close to it.
Evocation, enchantment.
Enchantment, necromancy, and conjuration.
Okay.
So there's 4 schools of magic tied to this. So 1 ring, the outer ring, is enchantment. The inner ring, like the second ring, is conjuration. The 3rd ring next to the center circle is so enchantment, conjuration is the evocation, and the center ring is that hint of necromancy.
So conjuration, evocation, and necromancy.
Conjuration, evocation, necromancy, and enchantment.
Oh, and enchantment. Okay, so it's 4.
4 things. Yep. So 1 for each ring, and then the center circle.
Okay.
She is muttering to herself. Just, it's. Does anyone speak? Does anyone speak Infernal?
I do.
Muttering to herself in Infernal. Hunger, need to feed the hunger. Must be fed, must consume, always consuming, feed and hunger. In the frozen lands, feed and hunger, frozen and hungry, always eating and killing. The blood must be eating the blood. Just this like muttering, just madness about hunger and feeding and the blood. Must feast, the hunger, the blood. Feasting, always feasting, hunger. Just over and over, just this madness coming off of her.
Okay. Who is it? Who must feed?
Must feed, always hungry, always feeding, must be consumed. Consume it from the beginning, from the source. Must go back. Get it off me. Get it off. She switches to common, and she starts to have this moment of clarity, and she begins to scratch at the back of her neck. She's like scratching and starts to put like claw marks into it. Even though her hands are bound, she like reaches over and is like scratching at her neck like this. Jhod goes to grab her wrist to pull it away. She's already like put some dig marks into it.
I'm gonna
And
flip
she
her over.
starts screaming Get it off me.
Oh.
Get it off me. I can feel it. The claws are in me. Get it off me. Get it off me. And she's just
I'm gonna
panicking.
I'm gonna flip her over and take out my dagger and try and just like sheave off the rune.
Holy
Like break
shiitake
it.
mushrooms. Love that
Like break
joke.
it.
Careful.
Yeah.
Give me a heal check.
Okay.
Let's make sure you don't like cut her neck and kill her.
hmm
If
That
you want
would
to
remove
assist
it also.
Aragorn,
I'm gonna use my once per day to roll that twice, by the way.
love it.
21.
Damn, there we go.
Nice.
Nicely done. So you flip her over. She's screaming in common, like, get it off me. I can feel it. The claws are in me. Get it off. Help me, please. I don't want to be like this. Just this
Jhod,
moment
hold her
where
down. Hold her down.
Jhod is holding her down. Theragor is helping. Samia has just returned to see the scene. He's got a dagger. He's like shearing off the back of the nape of her neck. As you cut it off, there is this sizzling sound, and there is this smell of ammonia, this ammonia-like smell in the air, just this thick ammonia smell, and it's like it burns the nostrils for a moment, and then that piece of skin that you cut off, there is a like the cut that you made, it cauterizes itself right away, like it burns over, and there's this horrible scar in her neck. She is screaming like you're cutting into her neck. There's just this maddening, painful scream. She passes out. Jhod grabs his holy symbol of Erastus, puts his hand over the back of her neck. There is a bright flashlight of this like golden healing energy as he waves his hand over it to like cauterize the rune along with this sort of natural sped up burning healing damage that's happening to her. She is passed out. You were holding a piece of like skin,
Human leather.
and muscle, and like a little like flesh in your hand, and it starts to burn your fingers. Like it starts to burn your fingers,
Okay.
like to where if you've ever put your hand on a hot cup or like a pan or on like the exhaust of a lawnmower, which I've done before, and burned off fingertips, it hurts like
Yeah.
a mother.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Starts
put
to
it down on the table, rune up.
Eric steps back into this little like back alleyway section. He's like, oh, hells, that's not normal. That's not good at all. What the hell is that thing? You set it on the table, and the table like smokes ever so slightly for about a round, so 6 seconds or so, and then it stops. The symbol glows brightly red, and then just becomes a strip of flesh with this 3-ring circle on it.
Okay. And from that last bit there, can I infer that whatever this rune does to make them explode uses the body as like fuel?
That is a great inferral. You still have Detect Magic on? Give me a
I do.
spellcraft check.
Okay. 15.
For a brief moment, there is a 5th school of magic that was, as best you can tell, it was hidden beneath the other 4. You see like when you cast Detect Magic, you see like runes, symbols, these sort of like threads, almost like weaving. I like to think of magic very similar to like D&D, like the weave, right? It's where you pull it from like this like primal energy, this arcane power, right? So you see like the strings, you see the threads of magic as they're weaving together. Different schools have different patterns and different colors to that weave that you see. And you see this brief flash, this sort of circle, almost like a mirror, like thread around this sort of, it looks like a hand mirror for a moment, and for the briefest moment, you swear as you're detecting this magic, you see these like 2 eyes staring at you. They are yellow, and you just get this very uncomfortable feeling, and then it's gone. It's literally less than a second. You see this, and you're like, okay, I saw divination, but now it's gone, and you're just seeing very faint evocation, necromancy, enchantment, and then the conjuration. You're seeing very faint bits of that, but it's fading quickly. Damn. God damn.
Yeah, he is not. Ingram is not squeamish about that type of stuff. He's gonna look back over, and the person's passed out.
She is passed out.
Okay. Was it a lady or a gentleman?
She's a girl. Yep, she.
All right. I'm just gonna flip her over and just do like a quick like medical check on her, like check the
Jhod is
pupils?
way ahead of you. He's like checked her pulse. He's looking at her breathing, makes sure her heart. She goes, she's weak, but whatever the hell that symbol was, that tattoo on her neck, it's off. The wound will take some time to fully heal over, but she'll survive. She'll make it. What do you make of it, Ingram? I've never seen magic quite like this.
There was 3 schools of magic intertwined into it: necromancy, evocation, enchantment, and conjuration. Sorry, 4.
So 4 schools.
Um, 4 schools. Uh, I assume this lethal anger that they all have, except for Haps, he seemed about himself. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe some of his officers are excluded from the mark. I'm not sure. Maybe they have an exception to this, but perhaps they they're being incited to anger, kind of like a barbarian.
Seems more than anger. She was speaking in, I think that was infernal. I don't
It
speak the
was.
language myself. What was she saying?
Uh, she was saying that it must feed, it must have blood over and over again. And I rehash what you actually said because it skips my mind right this second.
That's okay. So
Um,
she was saying something. I can feel the claws in me. It needs to feed. It has to feed the blood. We need to consume, always consuming, over and over. She was like saying this like repetition over and over again,
mhm.
and it was then this sort of break in her. She'll be able to. She started to scratch at her neck, and that's when she switched to common, so everyone would have heard that. But it was like
Okay.
needs to feed the blood, the hunger, always hungry, always eating, always consuming. Need to feed, is what she
Right.
was saying. Mhm.
Yeah, I repeat that. She said, always hungry, need to feed blood. It's and then it felt like that enchantment broke because she was near death.
Hmm.
I think when I cut it off and I look around and no one's fucking here except for Jode and Theragor, I think, because
No, I
I'm
see
here
some
too.
Mia's there.
Everyone's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's
oh
there.
yeah, yeah, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
Everyone's there.
we're
We're
all
all with you,
here.
man. We're all with you.
that was Oleg and the wife that went
Hmm.
inside. Okay, and
Right. Yeah.
I finally look up and I notice everyone. It Sorry about if that was a little bit grotesque. Eric, it was necessary to save her life. You can come out from the corner over there.
He slips further into the corner and disappears around the back of that building. He's shaking.
Good
His
talk.
hands are
Good
shaking.
talk.
And he's just like shaking his head like this. I didn't sign up for this kind of look. Like stark white, very scared, just beside himself. He's just going to go have a
Right.
moment alone.
He's
Do
gonna
you
go
think
cry in the
this-
corner.
Do you think this mark means that they're bound to some demon?
I wouldn't go as far as saying demon or fae or anything. The 3 concentric circles are reminiscent of fae, of the first world. This is different. This is more of a mortal human interaction with that normal signage, basically. I wouldn't put it past them that there may be infernal tidings to it, but I wouldn't necessarily say a demon's involved. Perhaps
But if it was a demon, she
someone.
would have been speaking abyssal, I would think. This was infernal, so more of the hells,
Yes,
the
yes,
devils
the
of some
hells.
sort. I mean, there are some research and books I've read on infernal pacts. However, what would a devil want with the stolen lands? There's no abundance of souls here, and these people are already heading to the hells. They wish to corrupt further.
It doesn't have
Right.
to be a devil itself. It could be some human or other who stumbled upon something infernal in origin.
That's the main thought I've had so far. It's something mortal that is using higher means than it necessarily has access to, perhaps.
Well, it's certainly not some normal old bandit who is putting, you know, explosive fire within the necks of their followers.
No, it's
I don't
not
know who would
indeed.
decide to follow someone if that was part of the recruitment pitch.
Right. Um, as
They
of now,
must not know.
I don't have nearly enough information to determine what exactly these are, except for the schools of magic that are in play and what it can and can't do that I've seen. There was divination, yellow eyes as
Yellow
well.
eyes, divination. Are you implying
At the
someone was watching this happen, watching us?
at the last few seconds, someone looked.
Very disturbing. My
For
friend,
now, what matters is that leader escaped.
Yes, he will probably be back soon as he can get men to regroup. Um, we need to do something about that.
yes, yes. I think we should fortify this fort so that it can much, much more easily withstand any future attacks.
Well,
Uh,
I have some carpentry tools. We should, I believe, first and foremost, get the doors fixed. And
Right.
then,
Yes.
well, from that point, the catapults are well beyond the repair capability of myself. We would need true skilled labor to do that. However, at least if we start with the doors, they won't be able to stroll in, as they did here today.
I have a little bit of background in engineering. I'm not insanely skilled. I barely know the basics, but I may be able to do something with it at least, or get us started. Um,
Well,
as
take a look at
for
the full catapults. You might be able to cannibalize one or two of them to repair the others. It's at least
right,
worth a try. I would focus on the repairing the ones on the south side, since that's the
Yes.
direction they're coming from.
But my
Jode,
oh,
go ahead.
but my friends, I wanted to apologize to all of you, especially to you, Samia. I I did not mean to be. I did not intend to be quite so aggressive in that encounter. It's just that I kept remembering the family that we found upon the road. And I
I
wish
don't
to bring
think
these
anyone
to
blames
justice.
you, Thuragor, for your anger and frustration. Staglord and his men are... They're not just bad people, they are villainous. I think we did what needed to be done. It was likely to devolve into some sort of fight. Not to downplay your ability at, well, negotiations, Lady Samia. However, I believe that bloodshed was bound to happen. You simply forced their hand.
No, lady, that was a lie made up on the spot. A
Oh,
good one, if it had
I
worked.
believed you.
And no shame to any of us it didn't. We all each did as we thought we needed to in order to try and control that mess. Unfortunately, I'm
The
not sure we could have avoided it.
it was a
I feel it
very
heavily, yeah.
it was a very good idea. It bought us time for us to all get prepared and not for them to get a drop on us. Um,
I wish that we hadn't had to do that, but we did give them the opportunity to surrender. It's terrible, but clearly there is no reasonable person who is.
yes. I believe common sense is hard to come by out here. No offense to those who are only living here.
None taken. None taken.
Jode, what settlements are nearby? Is there anyone we can go to converse with, ask help, or
The closest settlement to us is Restov, and they're the ones that sent you here. Unless you're expecting any sort of reinforcements from Restov, then it's up to us. It's up to us. Now, Theragor, you would recall that you had a conversation with a certain displaced noble. Do you recall this conversation and what that gentleman's name was?
And
didn't
who?
I didn't I talk to him?
Was it
Or-
Ingram or was it Theragor? I thought it was
Yeah, because
Theragor.
I met Eric and then he said something to me, or was it maybe it was Charles? I'm not
It was
remembering.
let me.
Charles.
Was
I'm,
it?
look, I'm
Yeah,
looking up my
because I talked to
notes.
Eric. Yeah.
Creston Grevis. Creston Grevis.
Oh, that's the one that I spoke to.
Yes, you spoke to him at length. He was
Yeah.
present for all of your interactions during
Uh-huh.
that introduction that we did. However,
Mhm.
it was Theragor that he had a full-length conversation
Right.
with, and he asked you about what kind of like kingdom do you plan to build? Is it a place where someone could reinvent themselves? And you were like, I don't care what it turns into as long as I get to help build it. And then he pressed on that a little bit and said, so if it becomes a horrible dictatorship, and it is just, it's evil, and the people are like cruel slaves, you don't mind, and you corrected yourself, like, well, no, I want it to be good. I just really would like a hand in building it. He's like, all right, I caught you there. So he had said that he was going to show up a couple of weeks with some of his men and help reinforce Oleg's trading post. So you might remember in this moment, we do have reinforcements coming.
He recalls it. He remembers, and relays that to everyone.
Very good.
So perhaps if we can make this, we can fortify this post, and hold it long enough for the reinforcements to come. Perhaps there's hope for us then, because surely this fellow's going back to get reinforcements.
Well, if what you say is true, old chap, then we just simply need to make sure we hold the fort down, as the old proverbial saying goes, until these reinforcements arrive. If it took you a week and a half or so to get here, and they are going to be marching, as soldiers often do, they could only be days away at this point. And this man, is it Creston? You think he's a man of his word? He is going to arrive? Nothing that he said indicated he was playing with your emotions, I hope.
He seemed to be honest enough. I see no reason he would deceive me in this way.
Very good. Well, then let's get to rebuilding this door and solidifying and, well, hunkering down, as it were. I'm going to see to this woman. We'll put her in the, I suggest the supply room for now, the workroom. I'll watch her, put Eric by the door, give him something to do, and when she awakens, we can, well, perhaps question her a bit and learn some more about this dark magic that was afflicting her. Well, I'll get to it then. And he gently picks her up and carries her in and sets up a little cot for her and goes and finds Eric and talks him off the ledge and gets him to sit there. Now, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a cutscene here. So everyone, I'm going to give you a chance to kind of just fill me in. What are you doing in the coming hours, the rest of this day, to help sort of build up and fortify Oleg's trading post? Let's start with Ingram. What are you focused on?
I was gonna take a quick inventory of the 4 ballista. Or are they trebuchet? Are they trebuchet?
They're catapults.
Catapults, got it. Knowledge engineering, you got that. Oh! Hell yes!
God damn. So you're able to cannibalize the 2 on the north and repair the 2 on the south.
Okay. Within a day?
I can't literally argue with that. With some magic and a little bit of elbow grease, you get those things operational quickly. Yeah. And that is the best roll I've ever seen. Most people fail that check and they don't get catapults. You guys have catapults. So,
hell yeah, brother.
Fucking say congratulations.
Catapults.
Good job.
Hell
That's great work.
You're
a cheater.
No. I rolled it right there. See? 28.
You set up. You did. I don't know what you did, but you set it up to cheat. Cheater face.
The dice have a story to tell. The story is we get
Don't
catapults.
use my line against me. That's not. Nope. I don't know. That's not. That is. Nope. I am upset.
It's okay. Calm down, baby bird.
Cheaters.
Calm down.
You give them an inch, they take a mile. I swear. You give them an inch, they take a mile. These players, they're out of control. I love it. That was really good. That was good. Well played.
Except for like little RP thing.
Well played. Well played.
After this, nothing else.
Okay. Perfect. Samia, what are you working on?
I assume I'm providing the brute muscle either for fixing the door, moving stuff for the catapults, or both.
Very, very, very good. I like that. What about Theragor? What are you working on?
Well, first Theragor is making his way around the entire trading post, and using his mending.
Fix.
Yeah, cantrip to to make little repairs here and there, and just all over.
Cool. As you're outside, give me a perception check.
All right.
Oh. That's I don't. My character doesn't know about that.
Hey,
19.
Theragor, remember that symbol that I told Denik about?
Yes.
You find it! And in fact, going around the fort, you find 4 of them, one on each wall of the fortress. That's interesting.
If Theragor puts his his hand like not on it but close to it and casts mending, can he mend the wood so that whatever carved it in will
He can. Are you
disappear?
simply just going to cast Mending, or did you want to analyze it first with Detect Magic?
It's a
I s-
wizard.
yes. Well, I could try to analyze. Well, yes, he will analyze it first.
Love it.
Uh,
Dwarven
but
confidence.
he may need to consult others. He knows his shortcomings.
Give me that Dwarven confidence. You get in there, big cat.
Nat 20. Come on. You can do it.
I believe.
I believe in you. You
So
don't need me.
so for detect magic, do I
Spellcraft.
roll?
Spellcraft.
Oh,
Yep.
spellcraft skill.
You cast a
in,
spell. It's a cantrip. Take 3 rounds to
Mhm.
focus, and then as you focus, you can analyze and see more. 12. Not terrible. You're able to identify the school of divination is strongly on this symbol. Someone's watching the
divination.
fort. Someone's watching the fort.
Well, he's going to go back in before he messes with it, and gather the others and say, "There are symbols of divination on the walls of the fort. I think perhaps some user of magic is using this to scry on it."
You came and found me.
You and Samia and Dinning.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I'd like to gather us all together so that
If
we
you
all
say
know.
so. This is far out of my league.
All right.
All right. This could be a possibility of to feed them false information. Maybe we say we're going somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and we're not.
If they don't see us leave.
Well, I was going to cut the runes.
I was going to mend the wood
Yeah.
as well.
Destroy
I-
same thing. Destroy the rune. Maybe it might not.
Denok, you were going to say something.
Even if we give false information that we are leaving, then they would still return here for Oleg. So
True.
I don't think I'd feel comfortable abandoning them. I don't know if that would make a huge difference. I simply say take their eyes and let them be surprised by what happens here.
I agree.
Well, that could work on I wasn't actually talking about leaving. I was saying we feed them false information that we're going somewhere, but we're not. We're staying here. They come here. Ah, we're here. Yeah.
I suppose I didn't think that far ahead. But
That's all right.
As you all are pondering this, I'll let you guys sit on that for a moment. Denok, what are you doing around the fortress, above and beyond this discussion of symbols and divination?
I was worried about the door,
You guys will repair it.
but
I will allow
I
that.
might also want to do like a, circumnavigate the outside
Mhm.
and see if I can get the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So, if there are any sort of defensive attributes to the actual terrain around here.
So Oleg's trading post exists in the area of the green belt that is mostly plains. All right. So your hexes that surround this are open plains. To the southwest of where your location is at Oleg, so in this square right here, this hex, excuse me, there is the edge of a forest. All right. With that being said, again, to discover this, you would have to head out and do a couple miles of patrolling and look around. How are you doing? Just right around Oleg's trading post, or are you heading
I
out?
mean, honestly,
doing a
I meant just
broad...
right on the outside of the walls
Okay.
of oh, there are some rabbit holes here, or this is like gravel compared to
it's all
here's a slight hill,
dirt,
that kind of stuff.
frozen grass, and it's very flat land is what I would say.
I see.
Very flat land. So nothing.
Is each unit like 30 miles?
Each unit is actually 12 miles. 12 square
Oh,
miles.
12 miles.
Oh, 12
miles,
hexagonal
yes.
miles, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, I suspect I don't have the neither the time nor expertise to make like pit traps and minefields or whatever. So uh, I think just making sure I know kind of like I'm going to rephrase this. I want to be looking to see kind of like the densest copses of trees that could hide people approaching us, because otherwise, if it's flatland, we should be able to see people
You would
coming at
see
us.
them, save for the
Yeah.
snow, that like heavily falling
Yeah.
snow, right? So it's creating this sort of
Yeah.
like this mist for them to walk out of, sort of thing. And roughly 100 feet or so out is about as far as your sight can go with this constant heavy snowfall. It's like a
Mhm.
light
Fog of
fog
war.
cloud, like a fog of war thing. Yeah, it's the best
Sure.
I can discover. It's good. I like it. So you're gonna do that. So with the symbols, what's our game plan? Are we gonna mend them? We gonna leave them there? We gonna cut them off and I don't know, make a little like I don't know, little sculpture out of them? What's the game plan?
I was thinking since Theragour was out there before, me and him could just go out there, pretend to take a look at them, while also watching them, and just perhaps mention, oh, the horses were all packed and ready to go. We're leaving. He says
And you're
yes, and
heading where?
uh, he said something about a great tree. Someone, I think,
We'll
Jhod or
head to the
Oleg.
great tree. Oleg mentioned the great willow tree south of you
Yeah.
guys. Hmm.
So
Give me a
heading.
bluff check.
Okay.
Love
This
that
is
journey for you, big
Get
cat.
it.
Love that journey for you.
Fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. Oh, I love it.
You're very believable. I
What
like
happened to
it.
the nat 20?
That's good. Yeah.
The nat 20 back.
Even I don't believe you.
No.
I mean, he believes himself. I'll
No,
say
yeah.
that much. All right. So
Um,
the lies have been told.
Yep.
The lies have been told. What would you like to do with the symbols now? Mend them away? Cut them off? Mend them away.
I would
After
like to.
a quick spellcraft check.
Divination. Just moderate divination on them.
Minor divination.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a scrying spell. Someone's watching.
Alright.
Someone, something, or someone's is watching.
Thoroughly destroy them.
Thoroughly destroyed. Beautiful.
Yep.
All right. The fog of war for the enemy is now active. There you go. That's beautiful. I like that. That's smart. All right. The day is going to progress forward. You focus on repairs, a little bit of scouting from Dinok, and a day passes. You get some rest. You're feeling much more secure with the doors repaired, the catapults ready. You've got some stones that were just sitting on the ramparts that you're able to use as ammunition and sort of position them to where they can be used as defense. Evening meal is more stew. It's easy to make. She can make a lot of it. It's very delicious. You've got oregano. You've got a little bit of cinnamon. It's good. The venison.
No salt whatsoever.
No salt whatsoever. No, lots of salt. A good amount of salt. A proper amount of
Okay.
salt. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Scare the cat.
My cat just jumped out of my lap and looked at me like, "What the hell is wrong with you, sir?" I
How-
was comfortable.
How
Oh, Lord
dare
have
you?
mercy.
How
dare
dare
I?
you scare the cat?
As dawn breaks, there is a trumpet sound. And all of you have gotten a good full night's of rest. And there is a trumpet sound. From over the walls, you've got Oleg, who has been, he got up early. He's an early riser. And he is over on the ramparts and he says, Men approaching. A contingent. Looks like almost a dozen of them. Get up here. Is this your man, Theragour? Is this your man?
Theragor will hustle up there, and peer over and try and determine if that is.
And you quickly determine, Theragour, that this is indeed Creston Grevis and his troops arriving.
Yes, it is the man.
Isn't that Jhod, not Oleg? Yeah, it's Jhod that goes up on the wall. Did I say Oleg?
Yeah.
I meant to say Jhod. Forgive me. So Oleg and his wife are tending to the meals, but Jhod is up on the wall watching. And as he gets up, you look forward, and indeed, dun 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 dun, Creston and his troops have arrived. Dun 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 dun. So he has arrived with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 men and women, guards and trained warriors, bows, long spears, swords, etc. And he himself is a half-plate armored warrior that looks like he can carry his own, as it were. Knocks on the gate. There's a brief exchange. He smiles, and this group includes also yes, yep, yes. Taurus was asking a quick question. All right, so you guys. You see him enter in. There's a brief exchange. The doors are open. He steps in. He sees Theragor, and he says, "As promised, my good man." Well, dwarf. That's never going to get old, is it? I'm never going to let that down. With that being said, I've arrived, as I promised, to reinforce Oleg's trading post. It seems you've all done some good work. This door looks like it's seen some recent repairs, and with those 2 catapults up on the 2 towers to the south that I saw.
Yep.
Indeed it was.
Well done. Well
and
done.
we are very glad indeed to see you.
Well, as I mentioned, I am a man of my word, Mr. Theragor, and I am seeking to, how to put this, well, reclaim my name and put some good spin on it. Not spin,
I think you
just
will
some
have
good
ample
news.
opportunity here. We have much to tell you about the dangers that surround this.
Oh, I'm all ears, and my men are hungry, so we brought some additional supplies, and they have like some horses, a couple carts with them, and they brought some supplies that was sent from Restov to help reinforce. So I had an initial conversation with Oleg and his wife about like, we're almost out of food probably in the next week. You guys now have several months of supplies that he has brought to help reinforce as part of this handshake agreement you made back in front of the mansion to the Sword Lord. You all take some time. You fill him in on the events that have transpired, the 2 bandit attacks, the symbols, the fact that you have this prisoner person with you, and he suggests after this, conversation and filling him in.
Can we ask, did he meet any of the Stag Lord's men on his way here?
We saw no one along the roads. There was a overturned cart. We saw some blood. Other than that, though, no one else. Also a few graves. Was that your doing?
Yes. You found interaction with the Stag Lord.
The roads were surprisingly quiet, and this winter is unseasonable. Perhaps that's the reason that more travelers or merchants or even the bandits themselves aren't making the way towards the roads. But no, our contingent was unaccosted.
No, they said that the odd weather came after the Stag Lord started causing trouble.
Shrugs his shoulders. I'm a simple warrior, miss. I hit things with a sword, and I shoot things with bows. As far as this magical weather, if that is indeed what it is, I know nothing of it. But to answer your question again, no. We did not see any of his men along the roads. We arrived here. A couple of crows seemed to be following us for some time, but other than that, no one else.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this prisoner you have, you said it was one of his men that you rescued, captured. Have you taken a chance to interrogate her, ask her some questions? Is she conscious?
Not yet.
Well, you should get what information you can out of her and then see her hung, as per the charter.
Well, if there's information to be gained, there's no harm in keeping her around if possible. She's been searched of any magics.
Yes, but if
that
I
we've seen on
understand
the
correctly,
other-
she was a bandit. And
Yes.
banditry is to be dealt with swiftly and harshly.
Once we have all the applicable information, of course.
Very good.
I'd be interested to see if her behavior is different now that that symbol has been removed.
A change of heart, change what she did in the past.
We have evidence of magical compulsion, perhaps.
Right. The runes on the back of the neck are, I believe, compulsory enchantment magic that are pushing them to madness or anger.
You
so they
know
don't
that
think.
look that someone gets on their face when you're explaining something to them and it's going in one ear and out the other? Anytime magic is discussed around Creston, his eyes glaze over. He does not understand magic.
And
There was an
and
aggression to him when it came to banditry, right? He gets the impression, you can see he's sort of picking up on the fact that everyone's like, well, hold on. I mean, yeah, if she's a bandit and she's terrible, we'll kill her, but maybe she wasn't under her own control, and that needs some thought. And he can read the room, right? So he's like, well, with that being said, I'm going to see my men are fed, and we'll reinforce the barricades, double-check the work, and make any additional repairs that are here. So, carry on. I'm simply here to serve and to serve. Thank you for the opportunity,
appreciate it.
Theragor and Samia and Ingram and what was your name again?
My name is Danik.
Denik.
Welcome to Oleg's.
Yes, well, thank you. I'll have to meet this Oleg, and he'll move over and begin talking with Oleg, leaving you all a moment to, well, discuss the prisoner that you have. How would you like to proceed?
Should all of us talk to her at once? It might be a lot.
Well,
I can talk to her. Maybe one more.
I think the
I
four
would-
of
Let's not
us.
panic them.
I think the four of us should be there to listen, but we should.
Yes, but only one or two go in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
As
That'd
Game
be good.
Master, I would love to see Denik interact with this person. Like, I want to see him take the
He volunteered,
I
so
know, I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. I would like to see him.
Mhm.
I'd like
That
to see him
sounds
take
good.
the reins for sure.
I'll be there in the background to listen and mentally check things, but you should take it, Doc.
I checked on her this morning, says Jhod, and, well, she's a little delirious. She was muttering to herself about the pain, the claws, but I gave her some food, checked on her wound on the back of her neck. It seems to be healing quite fine. Called upon the blessings of Erastus, and I've calmed her. Wouldn't recommend, and he looks directly at Danak, I wouldn't recommend pressing her too hard. However, maybe some light questioning to get at least an impression of what she's gone through. If she starts to panic, though, just be careful. Her mind seems shattered.
I kind of nod my understanding. Make my way towards the makeshift holding cell here.
Mm-hmm.
And what is is this like a solid door, or is there like a window anywhere?
It's a
or anything
solid
like that?
door. There are a couple of windows with shutters on this. This is like a workroom. So there's an anvil in there. There's like a tailoring table. You've got some like different tools and stuff on the wall. It's not fully stocked. There's like, if you imagine like there's like a bunch of like tool hanging sections and like tools are missing. However,
Sure.
like this could very quickly be turned into like a forge or like a really, really like well-stocked workroom.
What I'm going for is whether or not this prisoner can actually see out to us.
Not from where she's sitting. Not from where
Okay.
she's sitting. She's sitting. She's still bound, but not tightly. Like her legs aren't bound. Just her hands are tied, like with a rope to where she can still like move them a little bit. However, she can't she can move her arms maybe a foot, like her arms a foot apart, so like she could like eat or like fix her shirt or whatever. But she's tied to the wall and like in place, secured as it were.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just like knock on the door and say, "Okay, I'm going to come in, okay?" And like open up the door and make a show of like taking off my war harness, so to speak.
Okay.
So
all
like
right.
leaning like my sword and axe by the door and like before I step in.
The woman before you has dark black hair. It is tied up in a very tight bun with like a pair of like chopsticks in it. There's like an Asiatic feel to like how she looks, and she looks to be maybe like she married someone from like her parents probably were like, one was from Varesia and one was from like Xinzang. I can't remember the name of it in Glorian, but like the Asia continent that's on the other side of the globe. Her eyes look tired and sunken, like she hasn't gotten a good night's rest for days, if not weeks. Her skin is a little pasty, almost as though she's a little dehydrated. There is a plate of food in front of her that's been like half picked over. Like, so for example, since it's been mostly stew, like a small bowl, and it's half eaten. The spoon is sitting there kind of lazily. You can see there's no steam coming off of it. It's likely been allowed to cool down to room temperature. The temperature inside of the room itself is, it's maybe 50 degrees, so there's a chill to it, but it's definitely warmer simply by nature of it being inside of this building. And she's got her knees pulled up and her arms are wrapped around like she's hugging her knees close to her chest. And as you enter in, you make the show of, hey, I'm not here to threaten you. She just nods very slowly and very subtly. She blinks and doesn't make any other movements. How would you like to proceed?
My name is Denik. What's yours? I can see you've had a bad time.
Yeah. My name is Elnora. Hello, Denik.
I have done my share of walkabouts. I've met many sorts of people, many who work for, not the most noble of causes. But I have never seen one who marks the ones who work for him, as your Stag Lord does. And
Mention
I'd
of
like
your
to try...
Stag Lord, Denik. The mention of your Stag Lord, she shivers and recoils back. He's not my Stag Lord. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I don't even remember how I got the symbol or why. It's all a blur. It's all. Just remember the hunger, the never-ending pit in my stomach, and I can't.
It's okay.
And she starts
There's
to break
food in
down.
front of
She
you.
starts to just shiver and
Eat.
shake in place.
I'll give her like a moment. I don't think that just pressing her when someone is completely irrational like that,
Yeah,
that it's
no, absolutely.
One in one ear out the other, like you said.
She squeezes her legs closer to her chest. She's shivering. Do you know what it feels like? Not wholly to remember who you are or how you got here, just to remember the pain, just to remember the pit in your stomach. I know my name, but I can't remember my parents. I can't remember why or what the... I see faces in my mind, and I know some of them, and some of them are angry, and others are not angry, and I don't know who I am.
Deep breath, deep breath. One
I don't
thought
know
at a
who
time.
I am. Who am I? Claws on the wall, claws on my back, constantly clawing, claws everywhere, this way and that, claws. And she takes her hands off of her knees, both palms, and begins to just hit her forehead, rocking back and forth, just hitting her forehead.
I would
she's
like to
starting
step
panic.
forward and try and grab her
Okay.
hands gently, just like, hey.
Give me a diplomacy check. I think you've been doing some excellent roleplay. I'm going to give you a circumstantial +5 to this. Damn, girl! Damn! That's a 26! That's really good! That's fantastic, Denik. Absolutely. I love when the dice complement the roleplay.
He's a very forthright, honest kind of person. Like, I think that a lot of people, like, if they're naturally charismatic, they got a thing going on. He doesn't. He just is like, I am a pure, perfect baby all the time.
I love that. I love that.
He grabs her hand and is like, okay. We are here to stop this. We have it on paper, or vellum, whatever it is, that what this stag lord is doing is wrong. And we will find these claws, and we will silence them. I do not know what it is to not know myself, but I do know what it is to not really know where you're going. And I think that we can only do this if you help us.
Her hands are cold to the touch. There is a shiver that goes through them, this fearful twitch. But with your words, the kindness in your touch, this honesty, this ardent truthfulness that you yourself spoke of. Her head, her face, who was looking down, her eyes were closed tightly. She was muttering this fear, this anguish. Slowly her chin lifts up. Her eyes meet yours, and she has these soft, like hazelish colored eyes. And like when you look at them, there's a little bit of green, and then it's a little more like hazily, and then there's almost like a little bit of blue. Like they change depending on like the light, and there's a couple of lanterns in here that are giving illumination, and so there's like a flickering nature to it. But she seems to calm. Very quickly the shaking stops, and as you have her hands that are still, kind of half bound, she squeezes yours for a moment. I want to help. I want to stop whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I know I want to help. I need to help. It has to be stopped, whatever it is. The claws and the hunger, it needs not to be sated. It needs to be ended. It will consume everything here. It will eat everything here, and we have to stop it. Let me help you, please. Please let me help you. I need to help you. And she starts to become frantic, not scared, shaking, but there is this franticness to her. She starts to lean in, and her hands start to grip yours, almost to the point and just before the point of like pain. And she's decently strong. She's squeezing. How do you respond?
I am going to look to Ingram actually to kind of like say something so that her attention goes that way, so she doesn't continue to like hyper focus on me. Because I think she's certainly off balance enough.
What do you say to Ingram?
Oh no, I just I
just look to him. Oh, you just
like,
look over
glance,
to him. Okay.
like
Her tunnel vision on you is broken, and she looks over to Ingram and almost seems to realize he's there for the first time. And Ingram, high or low on a D100?
Hi.
I love it. Beautiful. Her eyes go wide, and that moment of almost like hyper-focused clarity about wanting to help, needing to help, it breaks a little bit, and she starts to shake again in fear and starts to panic. The any color that had returned to her face as she started to calm drains away. She starts to look more and more pale. Her eyes begin to water, and she begins to weep. And she lets go of Dennock's hands and then points directly at Ingram and just starts to say, "They're watching you. The eyes are on you. They're watching him. That one, they're watching him. They're watching." And she just starts to break down and just panic, starts to rock back and forth, and starts to just scream. It is a blood-curdling, like Banshee's wail scream. You've lost her. Whatever she sees or thinks she sees in Ingram, she's lost, and she's just screaming in fear and anguish and terror.
I guess I'd like to make a sense motive to see like how much I believe this. I mean, there is always possibility of theatrics, right?
Yeah, I love that. Give me a sense motive check. Perfect. Seems pretty believable.
Okay, well, this
I'm gonna
one
go ahead
doesn't
and put
seem
this
like
symbol
a
on her.
battle-hardened bandit, huh?
All right. He Ingram just looks disheartened. He was ecstatic that we gotten this far and it just fell apart. He's just gonna kind of like awkwardly look around the room and say, I'm sorry. And just kind of walk off. Take a beat.
It's okay, Elena.
Ooh-wee.
You can take this slowly.
The screaming calms, and it turns to quiet muttering, and she seems lost in her own thoughts, like you've lost her for now. She's gonna need time to be able to dig anything
Okay.
out of her.
I'll
The
be back
eyes
later.
on her, watching on him, watching, claws on the walls, hunger, never-ending hunger, and she just repeats that over and over and over again.
When I come back, I'm gonna ask you where you came from and why you started in this profession. But for now, rest and eat. There's food over here. And I'll kind of step out and, close the door and I go like, okay, that was a lot.
It sounded like you got something out of her at first.
It's like a child captured by night terrors. Certainly doesn't seem like a hardened bandit, but I also don't know if we can get any true information if she's so irrational.
Well, if she is to be believed, then at least we know that. At least it confirms that this symbol does bend the will of the person who bears it.
Well, it either bends their will, or she's a very good actress. And I don't take her as a theatrical type. It seems odd, it seems true, at least from my perspective.
Agreed.
And just for the record, Ingram has like walked off over
Yeah.
here behind the stables. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's just the four of them, Jhod, Dinok, the Theragor, and Samia, are all discussing this together. Well, at this point, I would suggest we give her some time to rest, recover, likely a couple of days. I know the charter mentions you're supposed to start exploring. With Creston and his men here, I think it's not unreasonable to, well, send you four and Eric out into the wilds to, well, start to figure out what the hell's going on in these lands. I'll remain here, along with Creston and his men. Between us, Oleg, and Svetlana, I think we can fend off, especially with those two catapults. Where the hell is Ingram? Well, especially with those two catapults that Ingram managed to repair. I think the fort, the trading post as it were, is in a, well, good defensible position. What do you all think?
It depends on what tactics they use. If they start a fire, we're still in trouble.
I wouldn't be too afraid about a fire. I mean, with the snow and the moisture in the air, I think burning these walls down would take some real doing.
With magic, anything can be possible. We don't know what spells they have, and
True.
they're already probably cannibalizing some infernal magic.
I would like to spend a few more days in fortifying the fort.
That's a valiant idea. We should prepare some, to mention the fire, Samir, we should prepare some blankets that we could douse in water to put out any fires that are started, and
I'm
simply
going to
prepare
take some
ourselves.
of Creston's people and get them to throw snow on the outside of the walls too. Keep them
Perfect.
damp.
Cover them in ice. It's a brilliant idea. Well, we'll see to that, and then, as I mentioned, I think exploration is our next step. The five of you, I'm sure, can do quite fine, and obviously Oleg's will always remain your, I suppose, our base of operations. Now, Theragor, if you find any signs of the Temple of Erastus, you beeline back to Oleg's, and you take me with you. Deal? Eh?
If at all possible, yes, I will.
All right. All right. Well, you trusting you, old chap. I'm trusting you.
And where will you be? Here?
I'm going to remain here to offer healing and additional support and defenses for Oleg and Svetlana. And again, I'm rather confident that with these trained warriors and Creston and myself and Svetlana with her crossbow and Oleg with his heavy crossbow, I think we can hold them off, at least for the time being.
If you happen to see any traveling dwarves, especially a female,
Oh. Oh.
be
Looking for a companion for the cold winter nights here, my friend?
his face looks it looks like he looks upset.
Oh.
When this is
An
said,
ex-lover, perhaps?
he says,
being serious.
he says, there was a dwarven woman in Brunderton. She stole she stole notes from my master. He was searching for the location of a lost dwarven artifact within the Stolen Lands. She nearly killed him and came this way. She poses as a dwarven female, but she is actually a dwergar.
Oh. Well, I'll keep an eye out for any mysterious dwarven women that arrive. Not many dwarves in these parts presently, so if one is to arrive, I'll tell her to seek lodgings elsewhere. Oh, you have a strange way with women, Theragor. You always pick the wrong ones. I've seen it for years.
He averts his eyes.
Little embarrassment.
There was no. Very well. He just kind of grumbles.
Grumble, Dwarven grumble. That's great. That is wonderful. Anything else to add to this particular scene before we sort of transition away from it at this point?
Nope.
Then I'm
Not for me.
Want to keep too much time here, but I would briefly go to Jhod, offer him a hand, and say, I hope we do find your temple. I'd like to hear about your god someday.
You may hear about my god whenever you wish to. Remember, and he winks to Theragor, always converting. Always converting.
You may hear about it more than you like.
So, the reinforcing of the Oleg's trading post goes very quickly over the next couple of days. You guys spend, I'd say, how many days do you want to spend? 3-4 days at this point? I mean, it sounds like we wanted to spend a decent amount of time here.
There was one thing that I wanted to do before, well, two things, I think, before we transition to a bit of a time skip.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
Yeah, please. No, absolutely.
Sure,
no,
yeah.
take the reins, man.
So after Ingram walks off,
That's right. Yes.
yeah,
I
that kind of happened.
I meant to inquire about that, but we got sidetracked.
Yeah. He is just going to make it to behind the stables in between where you walk up the fortifications. And just gather himself and puts a hand on his coat and like reaches in, pulls out a book that was left behind by his mentor, and just like it's his journal, and just kind of like flips through a few pages and closes it, disheartened a little bit, and says to himself, if I can't save her, how can I save you?
Aww.
And just goes off to think about how best to go about things next.
Like it. A little bit of inside the mind perspective. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Very, very good. As you are having your introspective moment, you see Eric move up to this northern, like, tower, and he has a very similar look on his face. This sort of deep in thought, thinking about, like, in his own headspace, and perhaps the two of you share a brief moment of, like, I'm not going to talk to you, and I'm not going to talk to you, but I get it. We're probably in a similar situation. Like, what the fuck is going on? How do we do things? Like, maybe a little bit of self-doubt. I like that. So you guys share a moment, an unspoken moment. It's a beautiful thing, no words shared.
I don't know if he would exactly be like, I don't want to talk to him.
Oh, Eric doesn't want to talk to you. That's what I'm saying. Eric does not want to talk to anybody. He's very much like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Nope. Not going to talk about emotions. We talk about it, makes them real. And emotions are scary.
He probably won't say anything,
Mhm.
but he'll make his way to like the kitchen or the tavern or something and like get like 2 mugs of ale,
Oh, that's nice.
and he'll go find him on the wall.
You guys
And
share you
he'll
share some drinks
yeah,
together.
I wordlessly just walk over,
Oh.
hand him the
Alcohol's a
drink.
great way to deal with depression and anxiety. So I love that for you.
Yes,
Yeah, let's just
exactly.
drink our worries away. Beautifully done. Beautifully done.
And he'll clink the glasses and just not really say anything unless he wants to
You
talk.
share a moment. You share a quiet moment filled with alcohol. He
Hmm.
burps. We transition to 3 days later. So it has gone from you arrived on Erastus the 31st, and now we transition to, let's say, 3 days later. Let's call it the 4th of Eridus, which is the month 8 in the Glorian calendar. So it is month 8, should be mid-end summer, and it's still that frozen land. The fort, the trading post, walls have been covered in ice, door is reinforced, they have barricades they've constructed, like just inside the door. They've placed, the catapults have been completely above and beyond what you did Ingram refit, and this place feels more like a fortress than a trading post. It feels secure. It feels safe, I would say. Even Eric, over these last couple of days, looks calmer, more assured of himself. Oleg and Svetlana have been just cooking delicious, wonderful meals. And our sort of final scene of today's session is going to be the 5 of you kind of preparing yourselves, getting your supplies together, and Jhod has actually taken this woman that is with you, this sort of broken woman, Elora,
Eleanor.
Elorna, Elorna is the name. I always pick great.
Eleanor?
I pick bad names. I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
But he has taken her. It's her first day out of the workroom. She's he's got like a thick fur cloak on her. He's taken her up to the southwestern tower, and he's just giving her a little bit of fresh air. And he's been taking time to like talk to her and just sort of help calm her down, and just very nothing, no pressing questions, just very like, how was your day? What can I get for you? What do you need? He's doing the clerical thing that he does. He's like, have you heard about our Lord and Savior Erastus? Always converting, remember? Always converting. And our final scene is going to
ABC.
be you all sort of preparing yourselves. Eric is getting his supplies together. Samia, you are preparing your mighty steed. Denok, you're preparing your steed. And we just sort of pan out from you guys up. We see Jhod and this woman, and she smiles for the first time. Just a brief little crease right in the corner. She does a brief little smile in her corner, and for the first time doesn't look quite as shaken as she has the days prior. And that, my friends, is where we're going to end today's session on a pretty positive note. I think you guys have done absolutely fantastic. I'm very impressed. Love the role play today. It was a pretty role play heavy session. Very very nicely done. Our next session will be on the 18th. Same game time, same game place. As I always say at the end of every session, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns before we end the stream and then do a little powwow afterwards?
Not really. I'm really enjoying all the characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. All right, as I always say at the end of every session, thank you so much to the players for playing. Truly, without you guys, this is impossible, so I appreciate you. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. If you're catching this on YouTube, hope you're enjoying the story so far. This is going to be a long one. We're gonna get into we're gonna get into the shit, as it were. It's going to be great, and there's some weird shit going on here in the Stolen Lands that we got to figure out. And as I always say as well, happy gaming, be well, be safe. And remember, the dice have a story to tell. That's my saying. You get out of here, Samia. It's mine. You're stealing everything from me.
It's okay, baby bird.
Good
Just
night,
remember, the dice have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. All right, good
The
night.
dice, find a way.
Good night, everybody.